trafficking and prostitution sting and several other high-profile busts. That group is made up of survivors and victims, among others, people who know about it firsthand. The California Department of Justice wants more improvement from the Kern County Sheriff's Department, so they have extended an improvement period that was ordered 5 years ago to ensure that the department is not using excessive force. Sheriff Donnie Youngblood tells KGET that extension is not what they wanted because the department as a whole believes they are in compliance or close to it. The state is looking for improvements in use of force policy, canine policy, searches and seizures, supervisory oversight, and community policing. Spaying or neutering your pets can help control the pet population, and from time to time you hear about cities and their animal control shelters sponsoring low-cost spaying and neutering events. That's just what's happening with the McFarland Animal Shelter. They're doing that March 18th. The cost is $20. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Little thing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, hump day, 11th day of March. Chris Burdick is producing the broadcast. And again, a busy one it is. We begin again with the Iranian war. There is new news regarding the war. We'll get into that in just a moment. Eric Swalwell has taken a lead in the most recent gubernatorial poll with the two Republicans trailing him. And now Tom Steyer, $25 million in, has bumped Katie Porter out of the way. He's now in double digits, and we still have a race where 24% of you are completely undecided. We'll unpack that. There's more bad news for the Republican Party. Another Democrat has won a race in a very red seat, Marjorie Taylor Greene's ex. The good news is it was only a runoff or a primary, so now it was a primary. So now there'll be a runoff, but the Democrat got the most votes in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, a district that Donald Trump carried by some 17 points. No es bueno, mi amigos, no es bueno. Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock. And Nick Ragone, our good friend in the Philadelphia IA, will join us at 4:30. The Players' Championship gets underway tomorrow down in Ponte Vedra, Florida. It is considered the 5th major. And, of course, I just use any excuse to get my good friend Nick Ragone on just to hear his voice, hear his brilliance. We'll get you caught up on the Instagram civil suit, although this is completely different than the one Teresa Goldner talked about on Tuesday. That was the one in Los Angeles that was accusing Meta of creating algorithms that were addictive. This is something completely different. We'll unpack that for you as well. And Bam Adebayo, really? In the same sentence with Wilt and Kobe, really? He shot 43 free throws.
Yep.
He had 40 shots.
Yep.
And 20 threes.
He actually did in less shots than Kobe did.
But I just can't put him in the same sentence with Wilt and Kobe.
That's what I told Greg Kerr this afternoon. I was like, out of everybody that you thought of, Bam Adebayo?
Bam Adebayo? Really? I wish I had seen it. I didn't even know he was a scorer.
He's not. Well, actually, I should take that back. He's a star, so he's a scorer, but he's not one of those guys that you would put up there with like a Kevin Durant.
And he missed 7 free throws.
Yeah, he did.
He could have had 90 or 80 change, 88, 89 if he was a decent free throw shooter. Although I guess 36 out of 43 is pretty damn good. Hey Siri, what percentage is 36 of 43? 83%? Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good, actually, particularly for his size. I just have a problem with that. Although, as Colin Cowherd was talking about this morning, they did the same thing for Wilt.
Yeah.
Where they committed fouls so they could get more possessions. They did the same thing for Kobe. The Lakers were up 17 points, and he scored like all but 2 baskets with less than 4 minutes to play.
I just can't understand.
And like you said, he did it fewer shots than Kobe Bryant, who to this day still leads the league in missed shots.
Oh yeah,
nobody's jacked up more shots.
He misses 100% of the shots you don't take.
The late Kobe. I was just telling Randy, I was never a fan.
Kobe?
I only became a fan when he died, and we got inundated because I didn't know anything about I didn't know the facility that they were going to was named after him. That he created that whole complex for women's basketball. I kind of knew his relationship with his daughter, but I didn't know they were going to games together. I didn't know he was coaching her. And then, when they died, my algorithm, I don't know about Charles, but just got flooded with pictures of him and Gigi together and them laughing and giggling at Staples and just he was a really good girl dad. He really was. He lost me in Denver. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember here.
When he got caught cheating with that girl that he met at the front desk. He's going to Denver to get his knee checked out. And he meets the girl at the front desk. And within an hour, she's up in his room. And they're having sex. And she claimed that it was forced. And one of the this is a little ornery. So if you've got kids in your car, turn us down for about 30 seconds. But the thing that got him off, no pun intended, okay, maybe a little pun intended, was the fact that the girl was such a skeezer, as we used to say. She had somebody else's semen on her panties after she reported the rape, because they obviously checked the underwear, and she had some other dude's DNA on her. So they were just like, yeah, that kind of ended it. And the thing that you say, well, Ralph, what? You're Mr. Moralist? No, that's not why, because I don't think he'd raped that girl. But he threw Shaq under the bus and said something. You remember what he said? Something to the effect that I should have done what Shaq does.
Lied and
denied the way Shaq does. And I'm like, dude, come on.
And he tried to laugh it off like he was making a joke too.
Yeah,
like,
that's the bro code. You don't break the bro code. You just don't go there. Meantime, my criticism of the Iran war continues only because I'm in favor of it. I think we're ensconced in it, and I think we should all support it, and I think it's defensible. And that's the crux of my criticism. I didn't get here till 10 to 3 today because I hung around the house because the president had gone on around 2:15. He was in Kentucky, and I wanted to see if he was going to address it. And he never did. I sat there for about 30 minutes, didn't leave the house till like 2:40, and he never addressed it. And I just don't understand this because it's defensible. As I've alluded to, I think Howard a week ago today made, at that point, the most cogent, coherent argument for what we're doing. And I think the other day I've made a pretty cogent argument. I think I can make another one. I think it's defensible. I think the president has to sit down behind a desk or at a podium and address the nation at 6 o'clock Pacific time and say, you've got a choice. There's no question that gas prices are going to go up. I hope we can sum this thing up before it impacts flights, airfare, but there's going to be some pain. And I'm giving you a choice. Would you like a little pain now, or do you want the long list of attacks that my good friend Ralph Bailey has on his radio broadcast from 3 to 6 on 96.1 FM? Please stand by so I can show it to you. This list right here, that list right there, that's not a rundown. That is a rundown that shows the times, what I'm talking about, who's coming on the show. That is a list of all the attacks led by or fed or catapulted by the Iranians since 1979. There they are. I could read it to you, but it would take the entire show. And are you sick and tired of this? Despite what 53 Democrats say, They are, Iran, the biggest exporter of terrorism. Are you tired of Marines getting killed in Beirut? CIA station chief getting killed in 1984 in Beirut? Hezbollah in 1984 hijacking a TWA flight. In 1989, they killed Marines in Lebanon. Are you sick? I haven't even gotten to the 90s yet. Are we not sick of this? And are we going to put this on our grandchildren? Because do you honestly think that they're going to suddenly stop death to America? Do you suddenly think they're going to stop their nuclear infrastructure? We have an opportunity, my fellow Americans. We have a rare opportunity to once and for all do what several of my predecessors have said they're going to do, and that is absolutely destroy the ballistic missile ability of Iran. Since 2015, now I'm talking as Ralph Bailey, since 2015, their ballistic missile weaponry has blossomed, has absolutely blossomed. I don't know a better word for it, to the point where they can defend a nuclear infrastructure. And we have to end that. And now we're completely engaged. We have no choice now. We can't turn back. And it's just bizarre to me to hear liberal Democrats like rooting against this. Like you're rooting in favor of the Iranians. Here is the president. He was getting on Air Force One this morning on his way to Kentucky and obviously was asked some questions about it. And I believe this first one was from Peter Ducey at Fox asking him, because the recent allusions to this, whatever they're calling it today, has been excursion. That's been the word. But as you probably remember, rolling out, the Secretary of Defense and the president called it a war. So Peter Ducey asked him about it. Is it a war? Is it an excursion?
You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war is going to be. I mean, for them, it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought.
How can I not criticize that? How can I not criticize this mixed message that these people are sending in a defensible action that you could make a very articulate, responsible answer to those who are against this thing, and that's a majority of Americans. And time is not on their side. That's one of the greatest faults of this. The longer this goes, the worse it is. And a lot of the attention focuses on what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil supply is not coming through. We've said that we've sunk 16 mine-laying ships. They're insisting, Iranians, that they have sunk 3 commercial ships. We have not confirmed that. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the day. When we come back, you'll hear more from the president. And there is news in regards to that Iranian school that was hit by a Tomahawk missile. I'll tell you what the administration has finally done, although they're saying the investigation continues. We'll get in the gubernatorial race at the bottom of the hour. Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock, and Nick Ragone, who's getting ready for his first Champions Tour tournament in Philadelphia in September. Should I even bring up our golf tournament?
You can try.
I'll just say, you're a big shot. You can jump on a Lear jet, come on out for a day or two, fly back to Philly. No kidding. I don't know. And we'll delve into the Instagram suit. This is another civil suit they're facing in terms of their impact on children. It's a busy Wednesday on the Ralph Bailey Show, right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
$500,000 for a building that is burned down 23 times in the last year, and it only makes me ask, why the hell haven't we just let this thing burn down to the ground already? And then the internet, as great as it is, the comment says, I hope the person that reports this fire didn't call 911.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again for Sangera Subaru and the Subaru A Lot to Love event going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been waiting for, like a 2026 Forester CVT. Lease one now for only $179 a month for 36 months and just $5,000 due at signing. And remember, every Subaru always comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And don't forget, this offer ends March 31st. So stop by and see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and all the guys during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru for spring and hit the open road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community at 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Through March 31st, 2026, lease a 2026 Forester CVT for $179 a month on a 36-month lease. $5,000 due at lease signing plus tax and license. Zero security deposit. 7,500 mile year limit. 15 cents per mile overage. MSRP $32,183. VIN number T3030467. Product code TFB-01.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation to the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his long-standing,
I think I can
most
walk at the quarters,
and
too.
expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to master.
Only thing that'll stop you at the quarters, you only have 2 minutes technically.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, well, because again, it depends if you have a live spot.
Oh, true. Without a live shot, they're 3?
Yeah, without a live, it's a 3.
What time are my lives?
You have to give me a sec to look.
398-2298. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I forgot my Noble Elementary joke.
Noble Elementary joke?
Yeah. I got to speak at, I read to the kids at Noble Elementary a week ago. And I told you guys how I ran into a classmate of mine at CSUB, Edmund Jackson, who's now officer with the Bakersfield Police Department, has been for a very long time. And he's, I met him, he was on the basketball team. He was part of the back-to-back championship teams when I was there, 93, 94, 92, 93, 93, 94. And he's 6'7". And at one point I told the kids, I said, you know, I could be anywhere this morning, but I want to be with you guys. And it's the same thing for these other officers you're going to see and the other people that are here. They could be anywhere. They want to be here with you guys to talk about education. I said, for example, I was just talking to my college classmate who is now a police officer. His name is Edmund Jackson. He's coming in after I am, and he's 6'7". And of course, do you know what happened?
All the kids said 6'7".
The entire class, Chris. I mean, they didn't miss a beat. The second I said, he's 6'7", they all looked at each other, 6'7", 6'7". And the teacher was like looking at me like, you know good. Did you really have to start this? Because it went on for like 35 seconds. 6'7". And I'm just like, I don't know. Sorry about that. I love that story. I don't know why. Here is more for the president. He was talking about what an unconditional surrender looks like. Because again, at this point, we're all in now. We have to absolutely destroy their Navy, the drones. You know, there was talk that they could hit California. Their drones could hit California. And they were asked, one of the brigadier generals was asked, you know, how would they do this? Would they do it from Mexico? Would they do it from ships off the coast? Would they do it from sleeper cells inside the state? And they were like, all the above. All the above. Here is more from the president.
They've lost their Navy. They've lost their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all. They have no radar. Their leaders are gone. And we could do a lot worse.
True that. True that. Why not say that to the nation? You know, we have not seen Ali Khamenei, and there are reports that the successor to his father, that he was critically injured. Remember, he lost his father, his wife, his son, and it is believed, because they had a big rally, and he has not been seen since the initial attack, that he's critically injured, which I think sends a good message. Like I said, we should mow the lawn, as one general alluded to it as. Like every time we have to go back, we have to mow the lawn. And every time we go back, we'll take out a leader. And maybe the IRGC will learn that that's a position that you really don't want. But at some point, we're going to have to deal with these people. And you can make the argument, because he's starting not only to lose liberal Democrats, obviously, but he's losing Joe Rogan. He's losing influencers who are questioning what he's doing, and that seeps down. Again, remember what I told you at the top of the show, a Democrat, an African-American Democrat, I didn't even say that part, a black guy, won the most votes in Marjorie Taylor's 14th congressional district down in, I think it's Northwest Georgia, up there where the rich and the athletes live. It's kind of a rural area up by Rome. There are a lot of Georgia cities that are named after international cities, like a Cairo, Georgia. There's a Rome, Georgia. And that's all up there with the rich white folks. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And a black Democrat got 2,000, almost 3,000 more votes than the Republican. And they're doing it by running against Donald Trump. They're not running against the guy across the table. They're running against Trump. And when your numbers are in the 30s and you're in what technically is an unpopular war, this is a tough time to be running. And now they're flipping congressional districts that were never in play. I told you about the one down in Texas where Trump won by 17 points. The Democrat went in there and won by 14, 31-point switch. And now a black Democrat in Marjorie Taylor Greene's incredibly red Republican, rich white district. This does not bode well for the midterms, where if they're putting safe districts in play, what are they going to do with purple districts? They're going to dominate. They're going to absolutely dominate. James Tellerico could win that Senate seat down in Texas. This could be a bloodbath. But the reality is, I think they could turn this thing around. I know I've been the guy screaming and yelling about the midterms, but the reality is they're 7 months away. We could save this. We've got to get out of this thing. This thing cannot linger into the fall. Time is not on the president's hands. What? What did I say?
You meant it's not on his side, but you said for some reason in his hand.
Don't pay attention to me. It's not on his side. It's just not. The more time goes on, and I'm telling you, you know what the tipping point will be with oil, as I kind of alluded to early in the show? Airfare. I think we can deal with 4 or 5. We've seen that before. And there's some spots. There's a guy down on Mulvera Street in Los Angeles did a video last night where it's $8 a gallon. $8 a gallon. Now, right around the corner, the reason the guy did the video is because right around the corner is like 5 change. And he has no idea why anybody. He said it's mostly truckers and people that have accounts, cops, etc., or tourists who get lost and think there's no other gas station. Because literally 3 blocks from where the station is, it's like 5.50. At this station, it's like 8 change, literally. But the tipping point will be when airfares start to skosh up and you can't go see grandma this May, or grandma can't come to graduation because that $350 round trip fare to Des Moines is now $5. You know what I'm saying? That's when people are going to get, because remember, DHS is still not funded. So if you're flying right now, it's still a nightmare. The lines are ridiculous. There's still delays. There are cancellations going on. We still haven't even funded Kristi Noem's old homestead. I've got so much audio on her that I have not been playing because of the war. Just how she lied. There's so many lies that she told now. Secret about Corey Lewandowski, the guy she was having the affair with. Take a quick time out. We'll get in the gubernatorial race when we come back. There's a new leader on the top of the board. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S.-Israeli war with Iran has become a test of who endures longer. The biggest pressure point appears to be the global economy as oil prices surge. Iran attacked commercial shipping around the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday, setting a Thai cargo ship on fire, and Iranian drones also targeted Dubai's airport. The U.S. campaign of airstrikes is now in its 12th day. Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois, authorities said Wednesday, as another round of rain, hail, and strong winds made its way through the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289 points, the Nasdaq rose 19. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Some of the people who know firsthand what it's like to be victims of human trafficking are helping start a group to make people aware of the signs so they could possibly alert law enforcement if they see a potential victim. It's called Operation Rescue. That's after several recent busts in Kern County that included the arrest of 17 people. You may have already gotten a notice that tells you sewer rates are going up from $247 a year now to $875 within 5 years if you live in Bakersfield. You have through April 22nd to protest that rate hike in writing, according to state law. A low-cost spaying and neutering event is being put on by the McFarland Animal Shelter March 18th. $20 a pet. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
To...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, it's a first. Our guest has a guest. Dr. Corey Gonzalez will be here to talk about mental health, and he's bringing Gabriela Rosales, who is the other meteorologist at Channel 17, the one that isn't Elena Rusk. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Smiling faces, I can see.
Media whore.
But not for me.
You know what I'm talking about?
I sit and watch as tears go down.
Great song. See, now you're getting deeper. Because I keep forgetting my daily list. You know, I keep making a list every night. But because I think about it at 10 o'clock at night, I don't think about it.
You're going to make into your rundown, so you have it with you every day.
That's what I did with the Iranian attack. I can show it to you.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a separate one. Just flip that to the.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to do that tomorrow. All right, you're going to get inundated with audio tomorrow. 842-5376, 842-KERN. So a new Emerson poll has come out, and unfortunately, the last guy, I almost would rather Katie Porter be our next governor than Eric Swalwell. Although I think Swalwell is more beatable because he's got more baggage, he's got more skeletons in the closet. He's got that goofy letter that they released, some kind of porn letter that he wrote, and he was the subject of an ethics probe that they kind of dropped in the House. But nevertheless, I think Hilton could dig that back up. And I think that California residents are just tired of all the nonsense, the gas prices, high-speed rail. I think Steve Hilton needs to bang that more. They're not talking about that enough. This whole, they have no idea how they're going to get the money, and they haven't even figured out how to lay tracks from Merced to Bakersfield, even though Gavin, as most of you know, was here out in Moscow saying basically tracks are about to be laid, and it was a lie. That whole news conference with that Leticia Perez and all those people giving goo eyes and flirting with her and all that, that was all just a lie. They're not even close to laying tracks. And listen to what I'm arguing, that they're not even close to laying tracks from Bakersfield to Merced, that very popular route that everybody wants to go tour Bakersfield from Merced, and we certainly want to go to Merced. Yeah, okay. I just think that this country or the state is tired of it, and I think there's an opportunity. I really, really do. The numbers look like this, however. Swalwell has got 17%. Oh, I ripped it off. No, I got it. 17%. Steve Hilton is second with 13.3%. Sheriff Chabianco out of Riverside is at 11.4%. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Tom Steyer, in the strength of $25 million. You can't watch the television. You can't watch news without seeing Tom Steyer. Literally. And I don't watch a lot of network stuff. I watch a lot of 17, but I don't watch a lot of network stuff. And I'm sick of seeing Tom Steyer. That's how much money he's spending. And it's working because for the first time in this race, he is one of the four that is in double digits. He's elbowed Katie Porter out of the way, who I've told you, and Kathy and I have been arguing about this for a couple of weeks now. I don't think she's viable. I don't think she's likable. I think she's got the Hillary Clinton gene. She's articulate. She was a decent congresswoman, I guess, if you were a Democrat, but she's just not likable. She's just not likable. And F Trump as and putting that in writing and holding that up at events isn't the way to get elected governor of the state of California. It's just not. Tell me how you're going to make my life better. I don't understand how they haven't figured this out. You know, really. They pay these consultants hundreds of thousands of dollars, even in some cases, 7 figures. And you haven't figured out how to get elected, how to connect with people and try to do the Clinton, I feel your pain and I understand what you're going through and I'm going to make your life better by making it more affordable to live in California. Though all Democrats talk about is affordability, there's no state, including Hawaii, which is one of the most expensive states in the union. There's no state that affordability is a bigger issue than California. And the time is ripe for a Republican. If we were ever going to do it, then now would be a great time. And then, like I said, Katie Porter's at 8.4%. And then there are the also-rans that the Democratic Party tried to run out of the race smartly, but idiotically, none of them listen. So they're all on the ballot. They amount in total, 5 different candidates for about 15% of the vote, which would put any one of the Democrats, either Katie Porter or Eric Swalwell, clearly over the top. But they wouldn't listen to the state chairman who simply said, if you're not polling at 5%, hit the road, Jack. But no, they all stayed in. Matt Mahan is at 3.2%. Antonio Villaraigosa is at 3.2%. Xavier Becerra is at 3%. Betty Yee, who finished second. This was funny. I love this. You probably heard this. She finished second in a poll at the Democratic Convention, but she's polling at 2.3%. So apparently, all her supporters were at the convention. Apparently, she's polling at 2.3%. And the brother, poor Tony Thurman, the superintendent of schools, is polling at 1% and staying in the race, which is wonderful. In fact, we want him to get even more than 1% because that's siphoning off votes from Swalwell or Porter and kind of helps Hilton and maybe Bianco to be the two finalists, thus assuring us a Republican governor. But the big stat is the 24.5, and that is the number of Californians who are still undecided, 24.5%. So if I'm Bianco or Hilton, I run to the middle and I go after the independents because I don't think people understand enough how much independents now are changing races. They absolutely are. I mean, in the state of Arizona, independents are almost the majority. And the number of independents are growing and growing and growing because people are sick of both sides. People are sick of the woke left and the hard right, the MAGA right and the woke left. When in fact, most of us are somewhere in between. Some of us got a little woke in us. Ralph's got a little woke in him. I'm not a big fan of the death penalty. I'm not a big fan of 9 justices telling women what they can do with their bodies. I'm just not. I know it's not popular with the right, but that's just, I guess, who I was raised to be and who I've been. But monetarily, economically, I'm extremely conservative. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I don't think anybody other than the woke and the MAGA are just hardcore. This is the way I feel, and I'm not changing for anything, and this is on my side, and they're on that side. No, I kind of dabble. And I think a lot of people do that. I think there are a lot of things that Donald Trump does and says that a lot of Trump supporters don't agree with, but they still, when given, the choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, it's not even a decision. It's not even close. When it's a decision between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, once again, what do you want me to do? And then you throw Kamala Harris in my face and expect me to vote for her? Really? Laughing gal? Come on. No president since Ronald Reagan has had his bunch of dummies to run against. Think about who Reagan had. Reagan had Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale. God, you couldn't pick two bigger patsies. And Trump's had the great joy of Hillary Rodham Clinton, totally unlikable. Joe Biden, who he should have beaten the first time. He didn't, but he should have. And becomes historic in beating him again, essentially, or running him off the ticket and making history. Meantime, Joe is at Jesse Jackson's funeral, extolling the virtues of his first term, completely ignoring the fact that his own party ran him off the ticket. His own party told him, no. And he's still out there, which just shows you where Jill and Hunter is. And then he gets the jackpot. He gets stuck, instead of having to face Josh Shapiro, instead of them listening to Nancy Pelosi and having a kind of a runoff, kind of a primary, and finding the best candidate, he gets stuck with Kamala Harris. I mean, that's like getting an inside straight on the flop. Good googly moogly. 842-5376, 842-KER. Anything on the board? Did I play the second bite?
Of Trump? Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anything?
I got a couple here.
What do you got?
The U.S. is responsible for bombing the school in Iran, and it happened because the military was using inaccurate, outdated targeting information. I guess that's the level of competence you can expect when you put a second-rate talk show host in charge of the Defense Department.
Well, I don't know. Even that sounds like something I'd say because I'm not a Hegseth fan. I don't know if you can put that on Pete Hegseth. I think that comes way higher than that. But you're right. That's exactly right. The president hasn't acknowledged yet. Somebody in the chat room yesterday noted that John Kennedy not related to the Bremen, Irish, Massachusetts, Martha's Vineyard, Kennedy's. No. He's a Southern boy from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who was responsible for getting Kristi Noem kicked out of her position when he outed her about her lavish ad campaign. Did you know that ad campaign, they spent more money on that ad campaign than they spent on Barbie and on Oppenheimer and on, like, name a movie, name a big time movie. And Kristi Noem spent more money than a major Hollywood production, $220 million. Her riding on a horse in front of Mount Rushmore. Just incredible. But John Kennedy did, in fact, acknowledge, and that was my one gripe, because these things happen in war. Can you imagine if we had counted the casualties in World War II? And already, as I've told you, the Democrat and the liberal media, since they're only, and I don't mean this flippantly, but since the death toll is only 7, you know what they reported? Go look at the lead at the LA Times today. Go look at the lead. You know what the lead is? 140 injured, 8 critical. And I told you they were going to do this. I told you they were going to do it with the death count, which they will if let's pray to God I'm wrong, but if it mounts, they'll start doing it with the death count. They're already alluding to it every night, the 7. But the lead story in the LA Times today was not that, the devastation that's been caused, the 90% ballistic missile drop, the 85% drop in drones, the 16 mine-laying ships that we've hit. No, it's not like a progress of how well the war is doing. The lead story is 140 wounded. Go look it up. And that's the way it's going to be. And again, that's why time is not on the president's side. It's just not. Because as time goes by, there are going to be more injuries, there are going to be more dead, and oil prices are going to continue to go up. And I think at some point we might have to control her moves. Can we maintain that? I doubt it, but we can at least open it up until this operation is over. And if we can get out of there in 8 to 12 weeks, this could be a success. We could walk away, call it an unconditional surrender, because we've done what we came to do, and that it was to devastate their ballistic missiles, to devastate their nuclear infrastructure. And that is a cogent, smart response. But we're not getting that. I don't understand how we can fly to the Commonwealth of Kentucky and address people economically as if this thing isn't going on. A little bit later in the broadcast, you'll hear from Marco Rubio, and this is from 2015. I don't have time right now, but let's go ahead and take a break. Here's Mr. Marcus. Howard Marcus will chime in at the top of the hour, and our good friend Nick Ragone at 5 o'clock. My bad. Not 4:30. 5 o'clock. Mr. Ragone will be here. 4:30, we'll get into the Instagram civil suit, which is separate from the one going on in Los Angeles. That's about addiction. This one is about the profit and the idea that they're putting inappropriate material on Instagram and Facebook, Meta in general. You'll hear from Adam Moseria, one of the heads of Instagram. He took the stand today. And Bam Abadai, what was the boy's last name? Adebayo. My bad. Adebayo. 83 points. 83 points. And more fallout from the Max trade that wasn't. Your boy, what's his name again? Joy Taylor, Acho.
Emmanuel Acho.
Oh my God.
What do you say now? I missed this one.
Well, I'll play it for you. I got it on my phone. There's just all kind of theories that are out there being speculated. That Baltimore did this on purpose. They wanted the Raiders to spend up their money. And once the Raiders spent the money on their center, then they said, screw it. That's crazy.
I think it's the opposite way around. I think when they saw all their guys leaving, they said, oh, God, we can't lose 2 first-round picks.
Exactly. But you'll hear from this Ocho character, or Acho, whatever the hell his name is, whose biggest claim to fame is he once saw Joy Taylor naked. Apparently had sex together, working together. That's a pretty big feather in your cap, I'm not going to lie. You seen Joy Taylor? Quick time out. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday, right here on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1180 KRN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and
Big Mike.
KRN. The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
So I'm not defending this woman. Yes, her attitude probably stinks because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Two, she's got to put up with dumb people calling 911 because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Which leads me to my other question. Who in the hell still calls 911 in this community? Expecting somebody's going to actually show up to your 911 call. Let's just be real.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Owner-operator of Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, Mike Arier, Garza's boy, celebrating a birthday tomorrow. So if you see Mike, wish him a happy birthday. But what you really should do is get his card, just in case you have some kind of event coming up and you need one of the finest caterers in Kern County. That's Mike Arier and Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. Call him right now if you need some help with graduation or a wedding that's coming up perhaps this summer or whatever the event is. Call Mike Arier at 393-5507, 393-5507. As I've talked about, Mike spent some time in the National Football League from tiny little Garces, and he's used the discipline and hard work that it took to get into the league. He's put that into his catering business. And as I said, his food is outstanding. He comes with his rig, his crew. They do the cleaning, they do the cooking, they do the serving. You do nothing but pick up the phone and give him a call at 393-5507, 393-5507, and wish him a happy birthday tomorrow. Big Mike Arier and Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue.
Ready to free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
He's supposed
Even
to be
if
playing
you've
with
given
those
up
two
on
guys.
your New Year's resolutions, one
Did you ever
health
find
habit
those
that's
two
easy
guys
to
that
keep
turned
is
to-
active liver from
on the
New
list
Nordic.
of
Active
last
liver
year's?
protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
And I followed the rules. I didn't have an education, so I had to go back to school.
So his name is Sean Harris, and he is a retired brigadier general, and he won 37.3% of the vote to Clayton Fuller, the Republican down in Georgia, his 34.9%. And there was a difference of about 3,000 votes. But the news is it was Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. It was District 14 down in, did I have that right, the direction? I think it's Northwest Georgia. Yeah, it's Northwest Georgia. So it's the upper left, north of Atlanta. It's kind of where, you remember where Andre Rison. Was it Andre Rison's home that burned down when Left Eye Lopez put all his clothes in the tub and tried to burn them, and then the whole damn house burned down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his. That's Rome and Roswell. That's the Northwest, the very affluent area. It's where all the athletes live. It's where my aunt lives, as a matter of fact. And I told you last time I was down there visiting my aunt. She lives on the same street. What street did I say? Who lived on my aunt's street?
Julio.
Oh yeah, Julio Jones, the receiver for the Falcons, who was in Houston that week, because you know why that burns me. If you follow the show kind of regularly, you know that I literally have my relatives leave me crazy stuff. Like my grandmother, which now doesn't seem so crazy, but at the time, with all of her 3 sons still alive, she left the house in my name, the house in Beaufort that my 2 parents were living with. And my other cousin, really, but I used to call him Uncle Jimmy, my uncle, my mother's first cousin, Jimmy Barnes, one of the most popular men in Statesboro, Georgia, left me his Atlanta Falcon ticket. So the one time I'm in Atlanta during football season, they were in Houston, because I damn sure would have went to that game, sat in my seat. And of course, I've told you the great story about my Uncle Jimmy and my Uncle Lucius. My mother tells the story really well, how they called my mother at halftime. They all grew up together in Statesboro and Savannah. And they called my mother at halftime when the Falcons were beating New England 28-3. And they had already opened up the Dom Perignon. And you know how it ends. Mr. Brady comes back and they beat the Falcons. And it's so much funnier when my mother tells it. But my Uncle Lucius said he's never drinking Dom Perignon again. And my Uncle Jimmy went to his deathbed saying, I ain't never drinking champagne again. That's what cursed us. We opened up the champagne. And he's right. You touch the money. You never celebrate at halftime. I don't care what the score is. 28-3. I don't care. I don't care. But this ought to grab the Republican Party by the lapels and shake them up if they're not listening to the Ralph Bailey show and warning about how devastating the midterms can be. Because this is now the second time that Democrat has gone into a ruby red Trump carried, and I mean not like by 5 or 7 points, but by 2 districts, one in Texas, now one in Northwest Georgia, where Trump carried it by teens. I think it was 17 down in Uvalde, Texas, and I think it was 14 in Marjorie Taylor Greene's neck of the woods in Northwest Georgia. And a Democrat won. Now, he didn't win a majority, so they've got to go off into May for the rundown. And that's just to fulfill the remainder of Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. Most likely, these 2 will go again in November for the whole 2-year term. But this is much like the Vince Vaughn situation, where he was kind of filling a seat. Was it Vince? Yeah, it was Vince. Was filling a seat at the end and then ran for the full term later. That's what they're doing down in Georgia. And there were a number, much like the gubernatorial race, there were a number of Republicans. So Republicans are rationalizing, well, you know, a lot of the vote got siphoned off by the number of candidates, blah, blah, blah. But for a Democrat, even to be in the zip code in a district that was once Marjorie Taylor Greene's, that the president carried by damn near 20 percentage points, 14, 15 percentage points, that ain't good. And when you see gas prices going up, even in states like Georgia, the national average is what, $3.58 now from $2.94, a 60-cent jump in 12 days. Time ain't on your side. No, it's not. To rephrase the popular Rolling Stones song, time ain't on our side. It really isn't. Because like I said, once these people start seeing, the American citizens start seeing airfare go up dramatically, which is right around the corner, then things are going to start to get a little dicey. And it's going to be tough to be a Republican running with a president who used to be able to get you over the goal line. And now the Democrats are running not against Ralph Bailey, they're running against Donald Trump. If I'm the Republican nominee, they don't even mention my name. They're talking Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Look what he's done to you. Look what your prices, look what's costing you. What do you think is going to happen with this war? Boo, 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 boo. It ain't going to get any better. It ain't going to get any better. But I think, again, let me make it clear so I don't sound like I'm disparaging the effort and Epic Fury in itself. I'm criticizing the manner in which it's being waged. The fact that the president won't come out and defend what is defensible. Look, you either take a little pain now or we live with this disruptive force, this religious heretic group that's been giving us crap for 45 years. And we're sick of it. We're sick of it. And we're not going to put this on your children. We're not going to put this on your grandchildren to have to deal with when they build up their ballistic missiles and they turn into a North Korea where they can defend their nuclear infrastructure. This is what this is all about. But not a Pete. He was in, like I said, in Kentucky this morning, and you would have thought there was peace all over the world. Quick time out, headed up the hill, talking with our former federal agent, Howard Marcus. And then in the 5, we're off to Philadelphia with Nick Ragone. I'd stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180 KERN, Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM, Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At least 4 tornadoes touched down in Illinois and northwest Indiana during a late outbreak of severe storms. Cassidy Sinwelski, whose Indiana neighborhood was hit by a tornado, says she's fortunate to have made it through.
And then we went into the bathroom, got a piece of plywood, and within minutes I closed my eyes, the lights flickered, and there was nothing. But during that time, we just kept praying in the tub, we were holding each other, and I was like, this is the way we're going to go. I'm either going to be with the Lord tonight, or I'm going to be able to witness to people tomorrow.
The Newton County Coroner's Office on Wednesday confirmed the deaths of an elderly couple in their home in Lake Village, Indiana. A volunteer fire department says less than 10 people were injured in Tuesday's storms. Tornado watches are still in effect through the Ohio Valley into northwestern Virginia. Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil choke point, and reopening it is a big challenge.
The Strait of Hormuz is so important for the world's economy that governments are looking at how to reopen what has now become an energy choke point. French President Emmanuel Macron envisages France and other countries using warships to escort tankers and container vessels. The navies of France, the United States, and other nations have recent first-hand experience. We spoke to former naval officers who have previously navigated in the Hormuz Strait. They said that warships and commercial vessels would be sitting ducks if they tried using the strait's narrow shipping lanes now.
Correspondent John Leicester reporting. President Trump is visiting an Ohio pharmaceutical plant in Cincinnati and then goes across the Ohio River to campaign against GOP Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289 points, the NASDAQ up 19. More at townhall.com.
A Social Security update. 70 million Americans collect Social Security benefits today, and millions more will join soon. Now, a new study finds 70% of Americans don't get the full benefits they deserve. But recipients can use simple strategies to boost Social Security benefits by as much as $188,000 over a lifetime. Social Security expert Michael Allen says it's true and reveals 5 key strategies to increase your benefits. It's all in his free special report. Newsmax calls the report your best guide for bigger Social Security benefits. Whether you're getting benefits or soon will, you need the Social Security report. Get it free. Call 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. We'll text it to you right away, along with President Trump's act cutting your Social Security taxes. Call now, 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. Text and data rates may apply.
Jared just came in.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
They won't be speculating on the cause. I'm Chris Davis. The National Transportation Safety Board says it's their policy not to do any speculating on the cause of any crash, while the investigation team is going through the wreckage. The NTSB says they will have a preliminary report ready within 30 days, though, on the cause of the helicopter crash that killed one person Monday afternoon near the Tehachapi Pass wind farm near Mojave. The chopper went down while laying power lines. The Kern County Sheriff's Office was called on the carpet 10 years ago when the county had the highest rate per capita of law enforcement killings in the country. Now the California Department of Justice is demanding more compliance from the department after a 5-year improvement plan, which Sheriff Donnie Youngblood tells KGET he feels the department has come close to meeting. The state is looking for improvements in use of force policy, canine policy, searches and seizures, supervisor oversight, and community policing.
You guys like my top?
You have until April 22nd to...
Like my peachy folder? Somebody remember that? Can you guys see that? My peachy folder? I lost the strings to my hoodie, though. I don't know how I did that. Typical Bailey.
Out for a 16-year-old girl who has been missing since February, says the Kern County Sheriff's Office. The last time anyone reported seeing Sarah Current was February 5th, about 8 p.m. She's described as 5 feet 1 inch and 150 pounds. She has blue or black hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a sweater and blue jeans. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 11th day of March. Temperatures about to spring up just a little bit, It's going to be a warm weekend and a hot week next week. In fact, they're calling it a what do you call that? What do you call that? When it's a very hot period?
Not flash.
I don't know, scorching temperatures down in LA. They're expected to get in the 90s. However, the long forecast predicting 77 degrees a week from this Monday. Why is that significant? Because we will all be out there, all hands on deck for the American General Media team. And for many of you, Mr. Flores just came in and told me we have like 1 or 2 teams left. We are almost sold out. Huh?
Wow. Said maybe 1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I tried. Mark Swain, speaking of golf, please stand by. Definitely playing with him this heat wave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, just as bad as you. You're 31 years old. You couldn't come up with it.
To be honest with you, I was slightly
that's
distracted.
humiliating.
Right.
Heat wave? Really? I couldn't come up with heat wave. Like, I'm starting to write down
words you can't come up with.
Just things that have. I don't know if it's 63 or THC. It's one of the two.
Honestly, it's not a bad idea though, because you constantly remind yourself and you don't forget next time. Hopefully.
Heat wave. That's the word. Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, I was distracted by World Baseball Classic.
And aren't we on the brink of getting booted?
Yep, we'll get into that after Howard. But
yeah, we definitely will, because it is a Wednesday.
There I was yelling heat wave into the radio.
Yes, I'm sure the entire audience was screaming heat wave.
Could have played that song. We're having a heat wave.
We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. Hey, do you remember Valerie Bertinelli?
Oh, a hottie. I had the hots for her way back when.
Thank you. I did too. And do you know she is 65 years old and she looks like she's 40?
She looks great. Well, she went through a period where she was gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight, losing weight. And I think she's figured out whatever it takes to get back to what she looks like. She looks great. You're right.
She was on The View this morning. She's selling a book, Getting Naked, where she's naked on the cover. She's obviously, not like this, but she's naked. And she looks great.
On Amazon books now. Okay.
Yeah, and she looks great. And it's a really good message. She was talking about how 24 was the worst year of her life, how she had 4 surgeries in 6 months, which is crazy. And she just had anxiety and depression. And I'm like, holy crap, is that what she's a couple years older than I am. So I'm like, is that where I'm headed? Am I going to be like, because she said part of it is she was married to Eddie for like 20 something years, and she married another guy for 18 years. And now in the 4th quarter of her life, she's kind of alone. And sometimes it gets her down. And I'm like, oh crap, is that what I'm headed for?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, she looks great. But one of her messages is not to accept the shame that people put on you, And I was thinking, I have gotten over that after 22 years in radio, but I experience that almost daily, where these people, it's not enough to disagree with me, which I enjoy. Cindy is one of my favorite listeners up until a point where she tries to dominate the conversation, and I have to yell at her and hang up on her. But I like dissension. I like difference of opinion, but it's not enough for my listeners. They want to shame me and call me an idiot and compare me to Joe Biden. And I was just listening to her talk about that. Like, don't let other people shame you. And I was like, that's good advice from a very attractive.
Like Joe Biden. You hide your incontinence.
It was a secret, Howard.
Oh, we gave it out. Oh well, depends for everybody.
But she's 65.
Is a hottie.
65 years old.
That part of her marriage with Eddie was, I guess, he was cheating the whole time. It's hard to resist that rock style lifestyle.
Dude, have you not heard me say you do not marry musicians, athletes, and politicians?
Yeah,
you just don't, because they're going to cheat.
Oh, they do. Yeah,
powerful people who think they can do whatever the hell they want, do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Steph, what's his name? Buffalo Bills?
Diggs.
Diggs has 5 baby mamas.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's crazy. Dude's Chris's age. He's like 34 years old. He's got 5 baby mamas. Like, dude, go to a 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a different culture.
It really is. I don't know. So, Howard, why won't the president make a speech and make the defense of what we're doing?
I think it's a little early. We're not even weeks in. The problem we've got, I was thinking about the big problem we have with America is we want instant gratification. We have a attention span that does not extend like Europe and the Middle East, where it goes back multi-generational, decades, if not hundreds of years in Europe. They hold grudges for multi-generational, and they look at the long plan. And unfortunately, our adversaries like the Chinese do the same. And we want to, we look in 2 and 4 year spans based on politics. And we want instant gratification. We're already complaining about a war that literally, it is a war, but basically that is not even weeks in.
No, it's 12 days now.
Yeah, not even weeks in. And the reality of it is that Iran is still horribly dangerous. They are launching right now cluster bombs into Israel.
Yes.
120 nations have banned those because they're indiscriminate.
For the folks, hang on a second. For the folks that don't know what he's talking about, these cluster bombs, they have a warhead that comes out, and it's like a motion picture where there are like 50 to 100 mini bombs, basically. And it's almost indefensible, and it's incredibly devastating. You're right.
You don't hit them before they separate. You
exactly. Then you're screwed.
The problem because the way their nature, they don't have a targeting system the way we would imagine. You launch them into a general area, and then they just sort of open up. So and they're particularly dangerous for civilians. And the reality of it is that the estimated missiles that the Iranians had, even now, is still in the thousands. And what we're doing is we're destroying a lot of the large mobile launchers and the launch sites. But the fact that we're still able to, after all this effort to launch stuff, we're going to be there for a couple more weeks. Do I think we'll be there for months? No, but I think we have to completely eradicate not only the existing stockpile, but the means of production and the people that are making them, which means the leadership, the scientists, the technical base, to basically, as an old saying, bomb them back into the Stone Age. so that for the next generation, at least, we bought some time. And the sad part is, I don't know if the American people have the patience for that, or unfortunately, the understanding of what we have to do, because now all bets are off. We have to stay there until it's done. We can't go halfway.
No.
Because what will happen is the Chinese and Russians just backfill this all again. If people don't realize, like the Middle East wars, when Israel's facing, say, Syria, Iraq, or all these other countries, they would have horrendous losses. In a year or two, they were back to back. They were back up to stock because they would just basically have more arms supplied to them by Russia and China. And that's exactly what's going to happen to Iran. If we do not completely eradicate them, I don't think we'll get what we call unconditional surrender. I think what we'll do is we'll have to eradicate enough of the leadership that you won't know who the leader is, because he'll have a target on his back, and Israel is going to continue to take them out. And the only problem we've got is, we have marches in the streets with hundreds of thousands of people in Iran. Until they actively actually take up arms, or what happened in Romania when the security forces, the non-IRGC, the actual police forces that are doing a lot of the street control, turn to the people, which is what they did in a lot of the Soviet bloc countries, and help the people resist, then you'll see a change. But right now, protests aren't accomplishing anything.
Yeah, how do we arm those people? I heard that the CIA is talking about arming the Kurds, trying to get them to inspire the people. I mean, how do you arm the millions who are under the thumb of the IRGC?
Well, the problem is the Kurds have been burned before by trying to do this kind of stuff, and we left them hanging.
Yeah, the CIA did, yeah.
And they've just reunited. They're mostly based now in Iraq. They're raiding Kurds, because obviously they wouldn't be able to exist in Iran proper. But they basically say they're waiting to see what happens. They're not going to go in and commit hundreds of thousands of fighters and have horrendous casualties like they have in the past, unless they're sure of success. And their primary, what they're saying is they're waiting for the Iranian people, the general mass, to rise up before they get involved. Because otherwise, they're just going to get defeated. There's enough security apparatus in place that they couldn't do anything on their own. It would have to be a general uprising, like what happened in Syria. And we talk about this longevity. I don't know if people realize our longest war was 19 years in Afghanistan without a peep. Thousands of casualties, $1 trillion lost to no avail, and no complaints. Well, we're 11 days in, and people are acting like this is catastrophic. And we're actually doing better than we ever did in Afghanistan or Iraq, with quicker results and more dramatic results, and people are complaining about it. Complete different change of venue, different tactics, much better technology, everything that he's basically said. Why he didn't come out and say it? There's so many things going on. It's sort of like playing whack-a-mole with political issues at this point. Every time you turn around, there's a judge issuing an injunction here. There's a politician saying something there. It's very hard to focus, and what the American people want. And unfortunately, we vote for our paychecks. We vote for wallets. And all the people are worrying about now is the gas prices went up 80 cents in California, which is a temporary pause.
Which I think is more reason the president should speak to the nation and make his case, and admit that, look, there's going to be some pain, but I'm basically giving you a choice at this point. You can either suffer a little pain, or we can just deal with these people for another 46 years, and for me, that's unacceptable.
I wish you'd come out and say that. The problem is there are Americans, a good segment of almost half the population, that doesn't care and actually wishes harm to America for political agendas. The Democrats are coming out on behalf, as you said earlier, on behalf of Iran, essentially.
Yeah.
They're marching in the street. Look, there was a rallies in New York and a lot of major cities in favor, a memorial for Khomeini, the guy that was
really
the Israelis took out.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just watched footage of a scuffle between the pro-freedom Iranian demonstrators and the Khomeini people. And the Khomeini people are either Iranian agents or they're the useful idiots. But they were actually out there placards and stuff, hands off Iran and all this stuff. And they had portraits of the dead cleric. It's like in our own country.
Yeah,
that would be unheard of during World War II.
Yeah.
That'd be unheard of. Even during the Vietnam War, at the height of it, nobody would be out there parading for the Viet Cong unless you were Jane Fonda. And they certainly wouldn't do it in the streets of our country.
And that followed her to this day.
The rest of her life. To this
Her
day.
whole
I know
entire-
people that are Vietnam vets that are good friends of mine. To this day, she's annoyed Jane. And we'll be to where she's dead.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
But, that's the change in America, that political agendas trump long-term strategic goals that will benefit America. That's the saddest part.
Yeah.
That people can't see beyond the immediate. And we've come to be that way. Instant gratification is bad for us because our adversaries and our enemies in all the countries in the world don't think that way. Europe has got thousands of years of culture and history. They always take the long view. The Chinese take an even longer view. They're looking at 100 generations of war. They're looking at their plan right now is a 100-year plan.
Can we dominate the Strait of Hormuz? Is that going to be necessary?
Yeah, we're just going to sink we're doing it now. We're sinking the Iranian Navy is essentially disappearing.
Yeah.
We have minesweepers. And if we can, we have to do, they've already talked about, we'll have to have military escorts for the ships. It'll be like a World War II convoy system where they'll have multiple tankers being escorted by either U.S. or friendly nations will be escorting them through, because that's in everybody's benefit. So all these late Johnny-come-latelys at the English and stuff, Trump basically made a funny statement, now you want to join that we're winning. I put them to that test and say, you know what, take a couple of your frigates, start escorting tankers, prove your point. We're not asking to partake in combat operations, but protect your own interests. And I'd like to see him say that, because otherwise we're going to have to do it. But the reality is, we can keep it open.
Yeah,
minesweepers will do it, and if we take out all the fast patrol boats and all the missile frigates and all the big ships are gone, and we take out these little, what they've got left is these little speedboats. Sort of like when you remember when the pirates off Somalia were doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's kind of what the Iranians have left.
The USS Kane was a minesweeper.
Yep.
Do you get that reference?
Yes, I do.
Kane, Bogart. Yeah, the fictional
Where's the strawberry
ship, the USS Kane, the Kane Mutiny. Love that film. Love that film.
Classic film. Van Heflin was the bad guy, which is a surprising term for him.
No, Van Johnson.
Van Johnson.
Van Johnson.
Van Heflin was a chain. Sorry.
That's the best scene in the movie, where he throws the champagne on, where Jose Ferrer throws the champagne on Fred McMurray. Fred McMurray is the bad guy.
Yeah, he's another bad guy. Yeah,
because Van Johnson comes out to be the hero. He's acquitted.
At the very end. He does. Yeah, Fred McMurray tells about the river. It's a great movie.
It is. It really, really is. It truly, truly is.
Who? What? Anybody under the age of 40 is going, what?
Yeah.
But no, the reality of it is that no, we can do this because they plan this. The difference between now and say even a year ago is we've been stockpiling munitions. I know the Lockheed Martin and all these other companies just announced their tripling production on munitions. We're resupplying the Israelis with something like 15,000 bombs. They're going to have to go into Lebanon. They've already announced they're going to go up to the Litani River, which was the old red line before. They basically occupied about a third of Lebanon. They're going to have to completely go in and stay there now. They can't just trust the Lebanese army, because they've already violated all the agreements they had to disarm Hezbollah. They're not strong enough to do it. I mean, to be really honest. And they're going to have to go into Lebanon, which is going to be a bloodbath for the Israelis, because that's horrendous. That's street-to-street fighting. They have to do that, and the Hezbollah knows they're coming, and that's a different conflict entirely. But Hezbollah is setting those missiles in. They're actively coordinating with Iran. There are multiple barrages that are coordinated. So Israelis have no choice. We have to just continue stomping the Iranians until they're capable of responding. Right now, they're still responding.
Right.
And we're going to continue to have random casualties as it is now, because if they start shooting cluster bombs at our bases, they're not going to. It's just the laws of chance. We're going to have casualties.
Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that Trump can't be Trump? In other words, he's got to play this straight, and he hasn't been. The whole thing that the Iranians hit that school. We've tried lying. We've tried lying about. Let me finish with this, Howard. I got a little paragraph to go here. We tried lying.
Right.
And even Chris, I think, remembers the last time we tried to lie about friendly fire, and that's Jeremy Stott's late friend Pete Tillman. Remember that? How we tried to say that it wasn't friendly fire, and then the State Department had to come out and fess because the family was the one that pushed it and investigated it and found out that we killed Pete Tillman, and we had to admit it. And the president tried to walk away from this thing originally. Now he's calling it first he was calling it a war. Now he's calling it an excursion. He's got to play this straight, Howard. You see what I'm saying? He can't be the old Donald Trump where he exaggerates and, no, everybody's got Tomahawk missiles. No, not Iran. Not Iran. You got to play this straight. Right. You got to play this transparent.
Well, the hard thing to say, and the media is going to jump all over because, look, 50% of the country hates no matter what he does or says. It's always going to be wrong.
True.
But he's got to come out and, he's got to say the horrible thing that nobody wants to hear, which is in war, innocents die and there's collateral damage.
There are two facts.
Nobody wants to hear him say that. Do I think he's going to come out and say that? No, I don't. I think that it politically would be a huge negative that his base understands it, the military understands it, people that are educated understand it, but the people on the left who are going to make campaign slogans out of that and run ads on it are going to use it to their advantage. And that's the reason why I don't think you'll hear him actually come and say that.
Yeah, I don't think you have to advertise. Yeah, I don't think you have to advertise. I don't think you have to highlight it, but you can't lie. You can't get caught in lies.
Maybe just not respond.
Exactly.
I don't know. There's. I
It's
don't
under
know the
investigation.
answer.
It's
Yeah,
under
just say
investigation.
we're investigating and let it go.
Exactly. Always good to talk to you. Say hi to Mary. How's your health?
Well, we don't know. I had to reschedule all that stuff. So we don't
Yeah, me too. I may not know something for another week or two.
well, good. Well, you know what? My best wishes for you too.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Always good to talk to Sad Mary for us.
All right. Talk to you later.
We'll see you. Howard Marcus. Quick break. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. Check the board. See what you all are talking about. Hang in there. Coming up at 5 o'clock, one of our favorite guests, one of your favorite people, I would assume, our good friend Nick Ragone, live from Philadelphia via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network. All that's coming up on the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 K.
Yeah, adaptive.
Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, it's a first. Our guest has a guest. Dr. Corey Gonzalez will be here to talk about mental health, and he's bringing Gabriela Rosales, who is the other meteorologist at Channel 17, the one that isn't Elena Rusk. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The Current Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks, even though Monsignor Craig is in the way. And that's who we depend on for our IT. And as I always talk about as a radio station, we cannot afford to have our IT people say, hey, yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. That's why we go to these people. They're quick, they're efficient, and they know what the Sam Hill they're doing. So if you're tired of being treated like just another ticket number by your IT company, call Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne at 661-241-0638. Adaptive Networks online at adaptive-net.com. Adaptive Networks delivers exceptional customer service every single time. Real people who know your name, understand your business, and genuinely care about you. No phone trees, no runaround, just honest, friendly service that puts you first. And again, nobody knows that better than the folks right here at American General Media. And of course, they join us next Wednesday. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks. Call them today, 661-241-0638, or online at adaptive-net.com.
Last week, there was the Paul Sheldon sighting. Kind of rare and very exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, where's Waldo? Granddad's asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games that are fun to win. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it. The guy's a genius. Gotta give the man credit. He put it together way back then. Brought along those 3 Medicare pros, who of course by now everyone knows are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Running a business takes grit, vision, and a partner who believes in your success as much as you do. At Valley Strong Credit Union, business banking is built around you. The entrepreneurs, the growers, the dreamers powering our community. Whether you need flexible checking, faster payments, or financing to take your next big step, Valley Strong brings local expertise and real relationships to every stage of your business. Because when local businesses thrive, the whole valley grows stronger. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your business, grow your future. ValleyStrong.com/business.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376-842-KERN. So I had dinner last night at Casey's Steakhouse. You would never, ever guess what alcoholic beverage, what cocktail was my cocktail of choice last night. Now, you got to deduce. I'll give you some clues.
Okay.
I'm trying to get down my A1C back into the 5s.
Okay.
So vodka cranberry is out. I can have vodka cranberry at the house because I get my Raider glass and I can make it 90-10. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
I have my one cocktail that I don't even finish. That's how a little drinker I am now. I make one cocktail, and granted, it's about 3 or 4 ounces of vodka and just a splash of thing, and I don't even finish it. That's how little I drink now. By the time I finish my dinner, there's about, I don't know, almost half a glass left, and I'm just like, and I pour it out the next morning. So I'm trying to cut out my carbs. No pasta. I had the filet, and I cheated a little bit, had the mashed potatoes, which you're saying, well, Ralph, that's full of carbs, but it's so much better than the baked potato, which is where I would normally go. I mean, just a naked baked potato alone, but I like a lot of butter and a lot of sour cream. But what do you think is the most low caloric cocktail out there? I'll give you another hint. It's a classic old cocktail, but you're not a big history buff that everybody used to drink in the 20s and 30s.
Cosmopolitan? No, that's
No.
too sweet.
No. Martinis. I had 2 martinis last night. I told Liz, just splash around some vermouth in the glass and throw it out. So I was basically drinking cold gin. I had 2 of those, had a nice little buzz on my head, a little THC before I went to bed. I was proud of myself, but the filet was so good. But I had that awkward piece left where you look stupid if you take it home. But then I woke up this morning, I was like, I could have diced that up into some scrambled eggs. Good googly moogly. Quick timeout, we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Iran has attacked commercial ships and targeted Dubai International Airport. The latest attacks on Wednesday mark an escalation in its campaign to bottle up the oil-rich Persian Gulf as American and Israeli airstrikes pound the Islamic Republic. President Trump toured an Ohio pharmaceutical company on Wednesday as part of a push by his administration to lower drug prices. He used the same trip to visit the nearby Kentucky district of a Republican in Congress he'd like to see defeated in an upcoming GOP primary. Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois, as another round of rain, hail, and strong winds made its way through the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Don't expect to know right away what caused the crash of a helicopter Monday afternoon near the Tehachapi Pass wind farm. The National Transportation Safety Board says while they are on site, they do not speculate, but they do expect to have a preliminary report ready within 30 days. You're being asked to be on the lookout for 16-year-old Sarah Current. She's been missing for more than a month. She's described as 5 feet 1 inch, 150 pounds, with blue or black hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a sweater and blue jeans, says the Kern County Sheriff's Department. The average gas price in California today is $5.31, says Gas Buddy. Crude oil is $83 a barrel. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then, boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years. Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving, and yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Nobody's talking about that self-worth and purpose. Who's talking about that? Nobody says that. There's more to you than what you're doing. Let's help you get there.
Let's help you get there. Let's just all agree that there's many different roads for different people dealing with homelessness and living on the streets to get them.
That's right. I agree with you on that.
And as long as we can start there, then I think we can start to make a bigger difference.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
He might be. Yeah. One of my dad's favorite songs, and I never got it. On the king of the throne, one day alone, the streets alone. I told you guys my dad had this one. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? He had this one Lou Rawls 8-track cassette that if we were going to be in the car for longer than 20, 30 minutes, we were going to listen to Lou Rawls. Body can explain. I hate this song, but it's like, this is his absolute favorite Lou Rawls song. And you remember 8-tracks, you couldn't, the thing about 8-tracks was you couldn't skip to like, what was it? You couldn't skip songs. You couldn't like get in the middle of the song. You had to listen to the whole thing. You could only like, it wasn't like cassettes. Like you could fast forward cassettes.
Right.
But 8-tracks, as I remember, do I have this right or am I making this up in my mind? You couldn't switch songs or you could, I don't know, I can't,
you couldn't go backwards, maybe?
I can't remember. It was something about 8-tracks that was different than cassettes. That you couldn't switch in the middle of a song or, I don't know. But for whatever reason, whenever we got in the car, that song was on, and I hated that song. But I damn near know the whole lyrics because it was my father's favorite song. I was telling you, I had another breakdown the other night. They're not as common, but they still happen. And it was, I told you, it was Robert Duvall night on Turner Classic Movie. Because as I talked about Friday when we had Rick Bentley in, as we do every Friday, this is a really fun time for me because I'm a really 20th century movie freak. And what they do is they highlight, Turner Classic Movie highlights Academy Award nominated or Academy movies that won the Academy Award. And so you get all these classic pictures. And it was Robert Duvall night. And the 3 movies that they played were Tender Mercies, which in the 7 nominations that he got was the only win for Tender Mercies, where it's just a great picture. He plays a broken down former country star who's trying to rebuild his life. And Ellen Burstyn plays his 18-year-old, not Ellen Burstyn, God dang it. Look up Tender Mercies and see who, is it maybe? No, not Ellen Burstyn. Who plays his daughter? She was a teenager at the time. Now she's a huge star.
Ellen Barkin?
Ellen Barkin. She's like 17 years old in the film. And she plays his daughter. And it's a really, really good film. And then The Great Santini came on. And I've never really talked about this, but I have episodes about my father every time The Great Santini comes on, particularly at the ending. Because the movie is shot and set in Beaufort, South Carolina. He is stationed. He's an Air Force or a Marine pilot. And he's stationed at Parris Island, which is one of the most famous, I think it's more famous than Pendleton. I think it's the most famous base, Marine base in the planet. It's known for its discipline. It had some problems in the 70s and the 80s where they were killing guys during Hell Week and stuff like that. But it's, I think, the most famous Marine base. And it's where our boss's son graduated. And just out of weird coincidence, when I was visiting my uncle in Beaufort, he and Richard Bean and his whole family were in Beaufort at the same time. Isn't that crazy? But at the end of The Great Santini, he dies. I hate to ruin it for you, but you're not going to go back and watch it. And some of you have probably figured out where I'm going with this, because one of the last scenes in the film is he's buried at the military cemetery in Beaufort, South Carolina, which, of course, even in 1979, when the movie came out, when I originally saw it, kind of choked me up because my grandfather was buried there in 1970. I was in 8th grade. So that's what, 75, 74, 76, 75, 75. My grandfather was buried there. And then in 1989, my grandmother was buried in that same military cemetery. And then, of course, 10 years later, my father was buried there. And I never saw his stone. His stone wasn't ready when we buried him in Beaufort. But I went back about 5 or 6 years ago and, took pictures of his site and saw where my grandparents were. And it just, I think the reason when I say I broke down, I was like, I just tear up. I had forgotten about it. And I'm watching this. I'm not really even watching the movie. I was kind of writing someone a letter, and I was writing. I just kind of paid up, and I heard taps, and I looked up, and it's the scene where they bury him. And I had never paid attention to this. I don't think I've seen the movie since I went and visited my dad's plot, but where they shot, coincidentally, is right near where my dad was buried. I mean, like literally 15 yards. You couldn't really see where, but I know that cemetery well. I've been there 3-4 times. And there's this huge oak tree in the center. It's a huge cemetery right in the middle of Beaufort, South Carolina. And there's a huge oak tree which separates. There's 2 roads that go in, and you can go this way, you can go that way. And there's a big oak tree that stands in the middle that I once climbed in 1979 at 17 years old. Don't ask me why. I think I was high as a kite. I have no idea why I climbed that as a 17-year-old kid. Damn near grown-ass man. But I don't know, it just caught me off guard, and I had a little meltdown last night. It's just like, it's just weird. It just never goes away. There's certainly much more infrequent than they were in the early part of the century. But still, when I think of my pop, man, 56, that's just not right. I knew he wasn't going to live to like my mom, who's turning 84 this summer, but 56, that's just not right. And he just, like I always talk about, just worked himself to death. Just absolutely didn't hardly drink, didn't smoke at all, and didn't eat right, but was eating right at the end of his life and was doing all the right things. He was walking, he'd lost weight, he'd done all the right things. And, after having 2 heart attacks, I knew he wasn't going to live a long life, but I thought he'd get into his 60s, early 70s. But he had 3 heart attacks, and finally, as the television people, succumbed to his final heart attack. 842-5376, 842-KERN. So back east, the Instagram trial continues to go on. This is different from the one that's going on in LA. This is about profit. This is where they are saying that Meta, Facebook, and Instagram, and Zuckerberg has allowed inappropriate material to get on their sites. It's completely different from what the LA suit is about. The LA suit that is about to go into closing arguments by the end of the week, the one we talked about on Tuesday with Teresa Goldner, that deals with addiction and plaintiffs insisting that a 20-year-old girl now, a 21-year-old young woman who's been addicted, according to this child, for 10, 12 years to Instagram and Facebook, has been damaged and wants, payback. And Teresa Goldner believes that there's a possibility they could win. I don't see how in the world this is possible beyond blaming parental control. If you're not engaging your daughter and she's stuck in a room on a phone, that's your fault. You should be playing games. You should be having dinner together. You should be watching television together. You should get her out of the house. You should get her involved in sports. You should get her involved in drama, ballet, something, community service, for God's sakes. Go volunteer for Honor Flight. Go do something. But, as we talked about and we joked about it, but it's the truth, a lot of parents, and not necessarily you all, but a lot of parents just want quiet. They just want peace in the house. And if Cindy's stuck in a room and she's being quiet and her grades aren't horrible, they're not going to make a fuss. But these kids are graduating with B's and C's. They can't add, they can't read, and they're secluded in their house looking at people in Cozumel and Acapulco, and why can't that be me? And they have all this anxiety. Meantime, they asked Adam Mosseri, who was the head of Instagram, do you put profit ahead of the children?
We're not happy about it, but we're also honest about the fact that some will happen and very committed to finding it and removing it as quickly as possible.
They can't be the complete sentinel. You know what I'm saying? Some inappropriate, you own any type of website like that, and yes, there's going to be inappropriate stuff. Do they do a good enough job? Yes, I think they did. I think they put in stuff, because first Zuckerberg was careless, I believe. But I think they put in kind of warnings and safeguards. And again, at the end of the day, it's about parental control. And it's about what you're doing with your parents. Because, you know, I lived a whole different life than a lot of the kids that I grew up with in Cerritos. I think that changed once Bob started making some money. We started living in Ladera. And then we moved out to the South Bay, where we were hanging out with kids who were raised kind of the way I was. But when we lived in Cerritos, in middle class, Ponderosa, track homes, man, the other kids, they couldn't understand the way I was raised. Like, I could not, if my mother did not know your parents, I couldn't go to your house. So if I said, I'm going to Brian's, who's Brian? Well, Brian moved in a couple weeks ago. Well, I don't know Brian's parents, so you can't go there. I don't know those people. They might have you for dinner. They might be cannibals for all I know. Get your ass in the house. And it's just, people just lend a blind eye, it seems to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there were rules. I mean, we had dinner at a specific time. You had to come in. You had to wash up before dinner. You know, there were hours set at which you could watch television. There was a specific time in which you had to be in bed and lights out. You tell me, do parents parent like that today? Do children, does the word bedtime even exist? You know what I'm saying? And I think good parents ask for the phone during dinner. There's no phone examination during dinner. I think if your child is under 12, 13, 14, after they do their homework, give me the phone. You're not going to sit up in your bedroom and sit on the phone, but these parents don't give a damn. And yet you're going to try to blame the manufacturer? I don't understand. I really don't. But Teresa seems to think, at least on the addictability, the case in Los Angeles, there's a chance that they could win, that the plaintiffs could win. And I don't know what Instagram and Facebook looks like after that. I really don't. It's kind of like the tariffs. How do we give that money back? How do you put the genie back in the bottle? How do you put the toothpaste back in the tube? And you're going to have a lot of unhappy children, Jack, because it's, no matter what it is, no matter how old you are, no matter what stage in life, when you give somebody something, it's hard to take it back. And these parents have basically, I think, given up their rights as parents, giving these kids carte blanche in terms of the use of their phones. Good luck trying to take that back. And as we talked about with Teresa, they're doing it in Australia, they're doing it in foreign countries, but not here. Not here. If the house is quiet, the parents are happy. It's crazy. Crazy. There's just no monitoring. You know, the days of going over homework with children is out. Parents don't do that anymore. You know, it's a different world in the 21st century, I suppose. And I'm the old guy. Let's go, Chris. I'm the old guy with the rake telling the kids to get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. Quick timeout. We'll check the board. Coming up, excited. Haven't talked to him in a while. Our good friend Nick Ragone, who now calls Philadelphia, PA, the Commonwealth of his new home. This guy's led a life, man. He was on top of the world in his hometown of New York City at the #1 public relations firm in the country. He gets a raise and a bump to head the office in Washington, D.C. That's when I ran into him and he took me to a Nationals game. Then he gets into the medical field, which is the way to go. That's where the money is, Jack. Medical health. Good. Googly moogly. And takes over, what is it? Accenture? I forget. Ascension. The Ascension Catholic group in St. Louis. Then his boss gets a gig in Philly and wants to take, obviously, the genius with him. So he's lived in New York, Washington, D.C., St. Louis, Missouri, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, all the last 15, 20 years. Those are pretty cool cities, other than the winter. I personally couldn't do it. Those are some pretty cool cities. 3 of the 4 I have visited. No, all 4 I visited. New York, D.C., St. Louis. I've been to Philly. I love me some Philly, and I'll be playing in this tournament coming up in September. Quick timeout. Coming right back. We'll check the board. Our phone number, 842-5376, 842-KERN. And again, the aforementioned Nick Ragone at the top of the hour. It's TRBS. I'd stick around if I you. Something? KC?
News Talk 96.1.
KC, yes.
ERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, it's a first. Our guest has a guest. Dr. Corey Gonzalez will be here to talk about mental health, and he's bringing Gabriela Rosales, who is the other meteorologist at Channel 17, the one that isn't Elena Rust. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Visited, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the finest steakhouse in Kern County, KC Steakhouse. Last night I had the medium rare filet with garlic mashed potatoes and the broccoli, cauliflower, and carrot vegetable medley. It was unbelievable. And again, don't forget, Stockyard opens up Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights with live entertainment. Young woman by the name of Lottie plays an acoustic guitar in there. Try some of the craft cocktails. You can have dinner in there. And they had a party, the Republican Party. The young Republicans were in there the night I was there last night in the beautiful banquet room that Cassie has established next door. It's like absolute game changer for her. Absolute game changer. I know Kathy Abernathy uses it for election night parties. You use it for luncheons, dinners. It's a beautiful banquet room right next door to KC Steakhouse. And again, you guys voted them best steakhouse in Kern County in the most recent Bakersfield, California poll. And I can tell you for sure from last night, they lived up to it. It was outstanding. Where would you rather be than on F Street? In the capable hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of The Ralph Bailey Show.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Americans are paying more for home and auto insurance, and many are asking what can actually bring those costs down. American Property Casualty Insurance Association President and CEO David Sampson says inflation and disasters play a role, but addressing legal system abuse is a key part of the solution.
Excessive legal costs drive insurance prices higher. States that reduce legal system abuse are seeing stronger markets and lower rates. Addressing these costs help protect consumers.
Learn more at apci.org/insurance.
Every business starts with an idea. With smart business buying from Amazon Business, get everything you need to grow in one familiar place. From office supplies to IT essentials and maintenance tools. Ready to bring your visions to life? Learn how at amazonbusiness.com.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show,
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
See the game at all?
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was cooking when I got the notification that he dropped 83.
I gotta see that.
No, I take that back. I saw a notification when I left here that he was at 46, I believe, at halftime.
He had 30 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
46 at half.
This is very, very unusual.
And you know it's going to ruin the NBA.
Yeah.
Because now, who plays for Minnesota? Who's the shooter for Minnesota?
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards is going to try to get 83.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the shooter? Donovan Mitchell's going to try to get 83.
He got 70.
He got 70 last year. He's going to try to get 83. Every score, Luka, every scorer now, if they have 25, 30 points, if you have 20 points in the first quarter, you're like 20 times 4 is 80. You know what I'm saying? Every guy that goes like 10 for 10 with 5 free throws is going to be like, I might as well go for it. And the way teams are playing, they were playing the Washington Generals last night.
Literally.
No, that's not figuratively.
Okay.
That's not a mistake on my part. The Washington Wizards are essentially the Washington Generals. And if you're too young to get that Harlem Globetrotter reference, the Washington Generals never, ever, 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 ever beat the Harlem Globetrotters. But, again, Colin Cowherd kind of defended Adebayo this morning because he was saying it's the Raptors, and they were 12 games under 500. He said that Wilt scored 100 against the Knicks. They were 18 games under 500. And apparently the Philadelphia, God, what were they back then? They were not the 76ers.
No, it was the
Athletics? No, that's the baseball team. They were the Philadelphia, I don't know, you tell me. Hey Siri, show me what do you got?
Warriors.
Philadelphia Warriors. They were playing the Knicks. They were 18 games under 500. And Warrior, according to Colin Cowherd this morning, Warrior teammates were fouling to get more possessions for Will. So, I mean, everybody's done it, but now everybody's going to do it. Anybody who's got like 45 at the quarter, Paul, or at half, or just it's going to ruin the NBA. It's going to ruin the NBA. I told you I was watching a game the other night where the team shot 53s. 53s. Adebayo shot 20 last night. He had 40 shots and 43 free throws. I do not trust NBA officials. I really don't. I think there are more on the take than we know. I really do. Because some of these calls, did you see the call where Djokovic basically threw the ball in bounds and caught it?
Oh, I did see this.
And
yeah.
Rui caught it. No, Rui caught it. He dropped it in bounds. So basically, he passed the ball in bounds. Rui Hachimura, whatever the hell his name is, catches it as a layup. And they're like, no, they give it back to him. Like, what? What just happened? A high school shit. Snack's going to call that. Who's going to be a college and then big-time NBA official one day. The officiating trouble. What do you got on the board before we get Mr. Ragone in here?
Gas right now at Arco on H in Brundage. It's beginning. Oh Lord.
What's he got at?
489.
Well, it's 490 something right here.
And it's 489 for unleaded, 519 for unleaded plus, and then premium is 559.
Yeah, it's 499 right here. The mobile.
That's if you're using cash.
Yeah, and it's 5 change over there on Oak.
Oy.
Oak in California, it's 5 change. 509, I think. And like I said, time is not on the president's side. And it's not so much the gas prices, but in about a month, it's going to impact airfare. And that's going to be right around travel season, right? When it's, 80 degrees all over the country and people want to go to Mexico and want to go see grandma, and graduation's coming up in May. And if airfare, if that round trip ticket that was once $350 is now $5, there are people that are just going to be like, I can't swing that, because you're not going alone. So instead of paying like, $1,400 for the family, now you're spending $3,000 to go see grandma or to go see Uncle Lucius graduate from grad school, or et cetera, et cetera. That's when it starts impacting people's lives. Right now, it's just an inconvenience. But when people have to not do things because they can't afford it, that's when it hurts. And Howard's right. We are not a very disciplined country. We want things done right now, and we want things fixed right now. And politically, this is just, it's going to be a tough midterm. It's going to be a tough midterm. But again, like I said at the top of the show, it's 7 months away. There's time to rebrand this. I just wish he would. I wish he would just come out and defend himself and defend what they're doing and stop flip-flopping. Called it a war the first couple of days. Now what? It's an excursion? An excursion? No, this is a war. We are now committed to either leaving this to our children, which made the whole thing worthless, or just absolutely devastating not only their ballistic missiles, but their nuclear infrastructure, essentially their ability to get up off the deck. We have to devastate these people now. And that's going to take some time. And it's just a matter of, can we do it before the patience runs out? Quick time out. We're off to Philadelphia. Nick Ragone is next.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. $2? Touring a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in Cincinnati, President Trump calls the Iran conflict an excursion and suggests oil prices will soon fall back down.
It's doing well. The market's holding up well. I figured we'd be hit a little bit, but we were hit probably less than I thought. And we'll be back on track in a pretty short while. Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war. That happens you can almost predict it. I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought.
Trump then headed across the Ohio River to Kentucky, where he's campaigning against one of his GOP foes, Thomas Massey. Severe weather hitting Illinois and northwest Indiana last night, killing at least 2 people in Lake Village, Indiana. Cassidy Sinwelski, whose neighborhood was hit by a tornado, says she took shelter in her bathtub as the storm blew through.
Not expecting this. Just thought it was a casual little storm like we always have in northwest Indiana. Tornado watch, saw it coming from Kankakee, thought it would dissipate and be gone. When my husband saw the clouds shifting this way, and then he looked that way and they were going this way, we knew we were in it.
The Trump administration is opening a new trade investigation into manufacturing in foreign countries. It's an effort that comes after the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's previous use of tariffs. Trump and his team have made clear that they're seeking to replace the hundreds of billions of dollars in lost revenues by using different laws to establish new tariffs. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289 points, the Nasdaq rose 19, the S&P declined 5. More at townhall.com.
A Social Security update. 70 million Americans collect Social Security benefits today, and millions more will join soon. Now, a new study finds 70% of Americans don't get the full benefits they deserve. But recipients can use simple strategies to boost Social Security benefits by as much as $188,000 over a lifetime. Social Security expert Michael Allen says it's true and reveals 5 key strategies to increase your benefits. It's all in his free special report. Newsmax calls the report your best guide for bigger Social Security benefits. Whether you're getting benefits or soon will, you need the Social Security report. Get it free. Call 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. We'll text it to you right away. along with President Trump's act cutting your Social Security taxes. Call now, 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. Text and data rates may apply.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
They won't be speculating on the cause. I'm Chris Davis. The National Transportation Safety Board says it's their policy not to do any speculating on the cause of any crash while the investigation team is going through the wreckage. The NTSB says they will have a preliminary report ready within 30 days, though, on the cause of the helicopter crash that killed one person Monday afternoon near the Tehachapi Pass wind farm near Mojave. The chopper went down while laying power lines. The Kern County Sheriff's Office was called on the carpet 10 years ago when the county had the highest rate per capita of law enforcement killings in the country. Now the California Department of Justice is demanding more compliance from the department after a 5-year improvement plan, which Sheriff Donnie Youngblood tells KGET he feels the department has come close to meeting. The state is looking for improvements in use of force policy, canine policy, searches and seizures, supervisor oversight, and community policing. You have until April 22nd to write a letter protesting the proposed sewer rate hike that is happening in Bakersfield. Some property owners have already begun getting the notices about the rate hikes, which will take the sewer rates from about $247 per year to $875 in about 5 years' time. The final City Hall meeting on the rate hikes is on April 22nd. You are being asked to be on the lookout for a 16-year-old girl who has been missing since February, says the Kern County Sheriff's Office. The last time anyone reported seeing Sarah Current was February 5th, about 8 p.m. She's described as 5 feet 1 inch and 150 pounds. She has blue or black hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a sweater and blue jeans. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you beat the house when you make your call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 11th day of March. Still lots to do. Coming up, we'll get into the Meta civil trial that's going to wrap up this week in Los Angeles. And there's another one that went on. We played a little audio from Adam Massaria, I believe he pronounces his last name. We'll talk a little bit about that. Bam Adebayo somehow is in the same sentence with Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe Bryant. He had 83 points last night, passing Kobe's 81, but certainly not getting to Wilt's 100. But it's going to set off a scoring barrage in the NBA. Somebody's going to break 100, where they're just going to feed. Somebody's going to get like 40, 50, and then they're just going to feed them. It'll be like Steph Curry or Luka or the kid from Minnesota, somebody. And I'll tell you a little bit about Valerie Bertinelli's new book, Getting Naked, where it really alludes to her mind. She's 65 years old now, in the fourth quarter of her life, like many of us are, and just kind of reflecting on her relationships. And she, was married to Eddie Van Halen for many years and dealt with his drug issues. I just saw a kind of a semi-documentary about him where I didn't know that he had recovered and then toured with his son, Wolfgang, I think is his kid's name, and then relapsed again, which led to his death. And then I didn't know she was married for 18 years because I had a huge crush on Valerie Bertinelli. It was Valerie Bertinelli and Lori Partridge and Lola Falana. Those are my three. And Pam Grier. Got to throw in Pam Grier. Those are my three big crushes. You got it? We're off to Philadelphia, PA, the Commonwealth of, to talk to our good friend on the eve of the Players' Championship, considered the fifth major. And Scotty Scheffler, I believe, we'll check with the genius in just a second, but I believe Mr. Scheffler is trying to become the first back-to-back winner. Is that right, Mr. Ragone?
He would be, but he didn't win it last year. Rory won it last year.
I thought Scotty won it last year.
No, Rory did.
Oh, so then there's no back-to-back. All right. Forget everything I just said.
By the way, my big three crushes were Marsha Brady, Maureen McCormick, Susan Day, and
that's
of course Cheryl Ladd.
Ooh, I forgot about Cheryl Ladd. Good Googly Moogly. Yeah, she was. Yeah.
With the honorable mention to Lindsay Wagner in The Bionic Woman.
Lindsay Wagner. You know, I didn't like her in The Bionic Woman, but I loved her in Paper Chase. You ever seen Paper Chase?
Yeah, it's a great movie with John Houseman.
I loved her in that for some reason, but I didn't like her as The Bionic Woman. I don't know why. But so what do you got as we go into Ponte Vedra? You played that course, have you not?
I played there 2 weeks ago.
Did you really?
I did, yes. I played there 2 weeks ago. Part of the tour partners meeting, went down there, met the new commissioner, Brian Roloff, who's a great guy.
Well, of course you did.
DJ Monahan. And the course was in amazing shape. I parred 17 and 18. 17, I hit an 8-iron to about 15 feet. And then 18, hit one of the best drives of my life. 280 down the middle, hit a 7-iron pin high.
Really?
Had a lot of other rinsed balls, but played really well, actually.
Really? You put it in the wire a couple times? Where'd you put it in the wire?
I mean, there's water on every hole. I think that one of the par fives, the 16, actually, I almost hit in two. I parred that. I parred 16, 17, and 18. Number 11, I rinsed one of the par fives. And on the front nine, I think the fifth hole, which is a beast of a par three, I rinsed one.
What'd you end up shooting?
I don't know. It was a hit and giggle, but that probably would have been 83, 84.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. Did you see Ricky Fowler this morning on Today Show?
No, what was he doing?
They had him hit a shot at 17. He was just there with Dan Hicks, pumping up the players.
Oh.
And they had him hit a shot, and he hit it short, hit the planks, and sank in the water. It was classic. Because he was.
It's amazing when you stand up there. It really does look so small. Like, I don't even realize, because it's, know what it is, Ralph? It's flat, so it's like you have no depth perception. All you see are those tires, the face of it, the planks.
The Pete Dye wood,
Yeah, the Pete Dye wood. You don't see the depth, and so you have really no visual cues for the depthness. And even though it's a big green, from 140 yards back with water, all you see is water. It's really intimidating.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And the drive on 18 has got to be a little harrowing as well.
Yeah, the drive on 18 I love that drive. I've played there a few times. I drilled it every time because it fits my eye. It's a nice draw. And it's actually funny. On 18, there's a little bit more room on the right than you see on TV. It's actually slightly wider. Still an intimidating drive, but and where we play it from, it's not the back, but it's I love that course. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Who you got? Let's get right to it. Who you got?
I don't know about Scotty or Rory. Scotty is playing iffy for him, and Rory is a little dinged up. I like this guy. He played well last week. Aubert. I think he played well at Bay Hill. He could have won easily. He has such a great game. I think he's going to make some noise, and I actually think Xander Schauffele looks like he's going to break out of his slump, and I feel like he has the game for that place. So those are kind of they're not really dark horse picks, but I like them.
Yeah. What did you think of last week? I should have started there with Batia winning, coming from behind, where Berg kind of spit the bit at the end. That was kind of amazing.
I was shocked. I was shocked to see Berger. Yeah, I was surprised. He looked in control, Berger, the whole time. And I like Akshay, though. I've seen him on some YouTube videos. I watch a lot of YouTube golf now, and he and Sagit Pahala did a match against the good guys. And he just seems like a super cool guy. So I want to root for him. Akshay's won 3 times. And he's 24. I mean, the guy's a superstar.
Yeah, he is. And all 3 in OT, in extra holes. And what do you think of his putting stance? They're saying that they think that he's connected to his chest, and I heard some people screaming about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, either it's a stupid rule because Bernhard does it on the Champions Tour. A lot of guys do. There's no way to tell if they're anchoring or not. It was a dumb rule. I think it's fine. The USGA sometimes gets wrapped up in its own gobbledygook, but it's a silly rule. I mean, you're not either. You could use the wrong putt or you can't. If you're going to let them use it, then use it.
Yeah. How do you get to that? How do you get to that technique? How do you one day I'm just going to try. It's like sweeping a broom, it seems to me, where you got your hands aren't connected.
I think when you have the yips, you try anything. Yeah. I mean, look, these guys, they're not going to the broom because they're putting great. Like, they're going to it because nothing else is working. And, you know, Bryson used it a while ago. I mean, a lot of guys have toyed with it. I remember Bruce Litsky used to use it 30 years ago, 40 years ago when it first was a thing. And I think, you know, for the guys that the claw doesn't work and left-hand low doesn't work and nothing works, like, you know, remember Keegan went to it and it kept him in the game, and Lucas Glover used it. I mean, some of these guys that, you know, Scott McLaren, he won a bunch of times on tour with it. Like, were not for that, they'd be, I mean, Bernhard, he would, you know, he can't putt with a short putter.
That's crazy. That's great. I mean, it's just such a mental game, even at that level, where once it's stuck in your mind, it's stuck in your mind. You can't get it out. And these guys think they can't make 3-4 foot putts conventionally putting. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the yips is a combination of it's mental, and it's also a neurological thing. I mean, the yips, you know, is a neurological thing where for some guys like Bernhard, you know, you kind of get an involuntary movement. It's a neurological thing. And I do think it's brought on by kind of mental distress. It's psychosomatic. But, I mean, I think the putting yips is probably, or the chipping yips, is the worst thing you could experience. And thankfully, knock on wood, I've never had any type of yips. But, like, it must be so frustrating. And guys have had the driver yips. I mean, Henrik Stenson had the driver yips, and a lot of guys have talked about, you know, Tommy Fleetwood said back in 2016 he had the driver yips where you can't pull the club back.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's always interesting to me when guys, Ian Baker Finch famously had driver yips.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I went through it. I had the chipping yips. I had the iron yips. I had the shanks. That was the worst period of my life where I literally almost quit playing golf, where I literally couldn't hit an iron lower than I could hit my 8, 9 and wedges, but I could not hit a 4 and 5 iron, which is what I used to live on when I was young. I mean, I could hit a 5 iron when I was in my 30s and 40s. I could hit a 5 iron 185, 190 yards. Now I'm hitting 5 iron like 160 yards. It's crazy.
Well, the older we get, we lose speed. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I don't even hit a 4 iron anymore.
Me either.
Gone to a 5-wood. So I got a driver. I have a mini driver, which I use as a 2-wood. I hit that off the deck, and then a 7-wood, and then I go to a 5 iron. And, you know, I was hitting my 2 iron last year, and I was hitting it well, actually. When I'm playing well, I can hit my 2 iron. But, like, when my timing's not perfect, at our age, you can't hit long irons. Like,
Yeah.
go to a 7-wood.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I heard a really great story from Peyton Manning. He was talking about when Connor, and he said this is when at Tiger's peak. He said it was around 2002, 2003, and Peyton is introducing Connor to Tiger for the very first time. And they're on the first hole, and Connor turns to Tiger and says, Tiger, anytime you want to use my 9-wood, you go right ahead. You don't even have to ask. Just go ahead and hit it. And Tiger just started cracking up, and he said, I like this guy. And he said they bonded for that. Because think about that. Tiger back then in 2002 hitting a 9-wood, not likely.
I mean, if you look at Freddie now, Freddie hits an 11-wood.
Yes.
7-wood, 9-wood, 11-wood. I mean, 11-wood's basically like a 6 iron.
I'm thinking about going to that, going all hybrids.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
They're way more forgiving.
They are. I don't miss.
You can't chunk a. I mean, you can easily chunk a 6, 7, 8 iron. It's hard to chunk a 9-wood.
It is. It really, really is.
You can thin it, but thinning it is okay.
Yeah. My new issue now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, are bunkers. I'm having trouble getting out of bunkers consistently, and even when I do,
I have a great solution for that.
Well, good. Help a brother out, because even when I do, they're low and kind of line drives and skip, and now I got a 15-footer for par. You know what I'm saying? I don't get that splash.
I just picked up for you right now.
You're
opening it up, and when you hit it thin like that, the bounce of the club isn't digging into the sand. So either the sand's too hard and the bounce is coming off, or you're not trusting the bounce and digging under it, and it's just skipping off. That's why you hit thin ones. So what I would say is, it's almost counterintuitive, but like a lot of times when I'm struggling out of sand, I actually close down the face a little bit. I take my 58, close down the face, and hit an inch behind it, and just kind of do a chunk and run. You have no spin on it, so you got to release it. But like, if you normally I would open up, and I'm a good bunker player. I open up my bunker, my 58 or 54, and then I just skip it under and use the bounce. But if the sand's a little hard, it's hard to do that. Or if you're not feeling confident that day, like you have to trust that the bounce is going to go through. And so like a lot of people don't, and they flick at it and they skull it. So I would say just shut down the blade, and maybe don't use your 60 if you do.
I do. I was just going to ask you that. I was just asking.
Yeah,
you don't use
go
your
to
lob wedge?
54 or 58. Yeah, you don't have to, because a lob wedge, A, has more bounce, so if you're not good with bounce, it's harder. And B, if you're going to shut it down and chunk and run it, you really want to do it with a 54 or 56.
I have a
because
54.
it has a sharper leading edge.
Okay. All right. I have
Use
a
your
54.
Yeah. I use my 54 a lot out of bunkers, and it works. I mean, think about it. When we were growing up, a sand wedge was 54 to 56. We didn't have 60s growing up.
Yeah, you're right.
I used to use a pitching wedge out of a bunker or a sand wedge, which is 54, 56, and that worked perfectly fine in the 80s with a balata ball.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, I'll let you go. Name drop some more. Who else are we going to see in contention this week?
Well, I don't think Ricky Fowler. I'm not sure how good Ricky's playing. Some of these younger guys that are playing really well. First of all, Akshay, this course fits him perfectly because he can work it both ways. I wouldn't be shocked to see him up near the leaderboard. Same with Seth Agala, who I love. I love his game. I love how he swings it. I think you're going to see a first-time winner there. I don't think it's going to be somebody that's won there before. I just get the feeling this could be wide open.
Yeah.
And if it plays firm and fast the way it is in practice rounds, it's I think 12 under wins it.
Yeah. And final, what do you think is the state of golf right now?
I think it's in great shape. I listened to Brian Roloff's press conference. I think, they're going to make some changes next year, no doubt. There's going to be fewer events. I think they're going to start in California and the West Coast and not do Hawaii. They're going to lead off with a bang. They're probably going to start at Pebble, I'm guessing, or Riv, and then they're going to try to finish it with a bang. So I like Brian a lot. I think he's a football guy. He comes at it a little bit differently. My one fear is that I'm glad they're moving away from the no-cut stuff. I think that's horrible. So I like the fact they're going back to cuts. And I think it's going to be competitive where there's going to be essentially two tours, and you got to work your butt off on the sort of second tier tour to qualify for the bigger tour. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's going to create a lot of storylines. So I like him a lot, and I think Tiger's really co-piloting this, and I have faith that Tiger knows how to create a good product.
Yeah.
The guy is a golf savant, and I love how engaged he is. He really is super engaged.
Yeah. And I think the Live Tour kind of has inspired him, motivated him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Liv is kind of on its last breath. I mean, Bryson's the only semi-relevant thing, maybe Anthony Kim a little bit, but if Bryson doesn't re-sign with them, that tour is over. I mean, it's kaput. And I think the PGA Tour has survived the Liv threat and has come out stronger. And I think, I've been very encouraged this year. There's been a lot of good storylines. I mean, big names winning as well as some, names that were getting learned. They have some really young guys that in Puerto Rico last week, John Daly III and Miles Russell, the amateur, and Blades, and all these other good kids. I mean, I think you're going to see a really good next couple of years.
Yeah. And final. My listeners have asked me this. I wasn't going to go there. Chris knows I wasn't going to go there, but my listeners have asked me to ask you, are you coming? Are you going to get in your Learjet and come join us March the 23rd for the 4th annual Honor Flight Open?
I'll make a contribution. It's spring break, so my kids are coming home. Plus, I'm probably going to be playing golf out here. I do miss Bakerfield. It's been over a dozen years.
I know.
I keep saying that to come out, and I need to write another book so I could do a book tour. But I will absolutely make a contribution. I will be there in spirit. I miss the only other place I'm a parent at where people know me outside of my immediate family is Bakersfield, California.
I'm telling you,
we're coming up on 20 years now.
I know.
20th anniversary. You're
beloved out here. You're absolutely beloved.
I feel it, and I love Bakersfield, and we've been friends now for almost 20 years.
I know, it's incredible. It really is. It really is incredible how long it's been. And you had a ball the last time we were out here. We had a great time.
We did. And you and I played golf. We've gone to baseball games together. We've gotten arrested together. It's been great.
I don't know if it was arrested, but you tried to use the exit ramp as an on-ramp was pretty funny. Pretty funny.
As you said, thank God it was you driving.
Yep, damn right. Because we had gone to jail that night for show. Somebody's got a question for you. What do you got, Chris?
Chris Orr texted in and asked what Nick's thoughts are about John Harbaugh becoming the new coach of the Giants.
I think it. Look, as a diehard Eagles fan, we're the second biggest sponsor of the Eagles, Jefferson. I think it's a great move for the Giants. I think Harbaugh is a rock star.
Yeah.
I think he is legit. I was shocked that the Ravens fired him. It made no sense to me. He's legitimately a Hall of Fame coach, I think. I mean, he's only won, one Super Bowl, but he's been in it every year. So, that program needed something like a John Harbaugh to bring it back to respectability, and so I think he's going to be great for New York.
Yeah, he brings a certain culture to the facility.
Yeah, I mean he's a winner, and football, it seems like they lose the locker room much faster than they used to. I don't remember Don Shula and Tom Landry and John Madden. Tom Flores. I don't remember these guys ever losing the locker room. Chuck Noll. There was so much respect for them, and it seems like today, after 8 or 10 games, you lose a couple of key players, you lose the locker room. And Harbaugh strikes me as a guy that doesn't lose the locker room.
Yeah, I agree. All right, always great to talk to you. Maybe we'll wrap to you again tomorrow. We'll see what the schedule looks like if you've got some time.
It should be interesting. And the Masters in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Always good to talk to you, sir. Appreciate you taking the time. Talk to you again. All right, man. Love you. Nick Ragone. It is amazing how long we've been friends. He's like one of my dearest friends, and yet we've been in each other's company like maybe 6 times. Isn't that crazy? He had a ball when he came out here. I told you guys the story. He was nervous that no one was going to show up. We had it right here, the book signing. His book, Presidential Leadership, 15 Decisions That Changed America. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do. It's 15 different administrations and the highlights of their different administrations. And some of them are surprising. Like Kennedy, when everybody talks about the Kennedy administration, they normally talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis or the Bay of Pigs. He talks about going to the moon in the Kennedy chapter. And in Johnson, it's civil rights, and it's the kind of book you can just read a chapter of a certain administration. So he was really nervous that nobody was going to show up. And the book signing was like at 3. We got there at 2, and there was a line coming out of Barnes & Noble right here in California. And he was like, who are they for? Is this another book signing? I was like, I have no idea. I don't know who these people are. And turned out there were people waiting to get to Nick Ragone. There was a line coming out of Barnes & Noble an hour before the book signing, and he only bought 500 books, and we had to turn people away. It was a great turnout, it really was. Took him to Eureka's, took him to Luigi's. He called Luigi's the best Italian food he's ever had, and he's from New York City. Just saying. Quick time out. Coming right back. It's TRBS, wrapping this thing up on a Wednesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Oftentimes, the wheelchairs our veterans and first responders receive from their healthcare providers.
Did you want to do Messmaker?
Years-long waiting list for a new one. This lag causes a tremendous amount of stress for our heroes and creates a burden for their caregivers. Isolation leads to depression. We build what they need to get outdoors, hunting, fishing, or playing sports. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Every Thursday at 4:30, meaning tomorrow, Daniel Petrie, our money man from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, joins us. He was with us earlier in the week because we call on him when financial things change radically, like the price of oil earlier in the week and the Dow Jones, et cetera, et cetera. That's why Daniel is such an important cog to this broadcast each and every week that he appears. And of course, you know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about getting you prepared for retirement. I've been a client now for almost a decade. And as I always mention, it is the single smartest financial move I've ever made in my life. And everyone I turn on to Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors come back to me and tell me what a nice guy Daniel Petrie is, first of all, and how happy they are with what he's doing with their money. Call in today at 395-9400, 395-9400. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 4:30 for Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify.
excited. I've
That's
never
why
played
smart
this
people
thing,
call
man.
Optima Tax Relief, America's
No, I
number
haven't.
one tax resolution
I have
firm.
never played
Nobody
this
knows
thing.
these programs like the
I've been on the
experts at
third- nope.
Optima. Their
Every
team
year
of
I'm on the
tax
third
attorneys
hole.
and licensed professionals.
I'm 95% positive you played the first year.
No way. Nope. It was my idea to do the third whole thing.
I know, but again, we didn't start that until year 2.
Nope. Nope. I did it with Edna 3 times. I can show you pictures.
I remember you playing, but I might be wrong.
780-3599.
Never played.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
She got the way to movement, Cherry. She got the way to movement. She got the way to movement, Cherry, baby. She got the way to movement. All right.
What a life that guy lives. What a dumb question that was. Have you ever played there? And then he hits one down the line 2 weeks ago, Ralph. 2 weeks ago, he's in Puerto Vedra playing golf, rubbing elbows with the commissioner, the former commissioner, all the mucky-mucks. And again, he's got I should have asked him about his tournament because I'm going to Philly. I don't care if I don't play in the tournament. I'm going to Philly. Philadelphia is one of my favorite cities. I had a ball the last time I was in Philadelphia. It's one of those Bailey cities, where you can walk around and see American history right in front of you. Ben Franklin's home, who you all should know by now, is my absolute favorite founding father, barely edging out TJ and Alexander Hamilton. But Ben was my favorite because he had a journalism background. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll tell you the story when we come back on the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump used to swing through Ohio and Kentucky to push an economic message and attack fellow Republican Representative Thomas Massey, even as the conflict in Iran threatened to overshadow all else. On Wednesday, Trump talked in Ohio about pressuring drug makers to cut prices. He acknowledged that fighting involving Iran has shaken markets, but insisted he remains confident. Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois, authorities said Wednesday, as another round of rain, hail, and strong winds made its way through the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289, the Nasdaq rose 19, the S&P 500 declined 5. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Some of the people who know firsthand what it's like to be victims of human trafficking are helping start a group to make people aware of the signs so they could possibly alert law enforcement if they see a potential victim. It's called Operation Rescue. That's after several recent busts in Kern County that included the arrest of 17 people. You may have already gotten a notice that tells you sewer rates are going up from $247 a year now to $875 within 5 years if you live in Bakersfield. You have through April 22nd to protest that rate hike in writing according to state law. A low-cost spaying and neutering event is being put on by the McFarland Animal Shelter March 18th. $20 a pet. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour, and when it breaks, on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again for Sangera Subaru and the Subaru A Lot to Love event going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been waiting for, like a 2026 Forester CVT. Lease one now for only $179 a month for 36 months and just $5,000 due at signing. And remember, every Subaru always comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And don't forget, this offer ends March 31st. So stop by and see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and all the guys during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru for spring and hit the open road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community at 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Through March 31st, 2026, lease a 2026 Forester CVT for $179 a month on a 36-month lease. $5,000 due at lease signing plus tax and license. 0 security deposit. 7,500 mile year limit. 15 cents per mile overage. MSRP $32,183. VIN number T3030467. Product code TFB-01.
It's the third annual Autism on the Run, benefiting Hearts Connection. Saturday morning, April 11th at the park at Riverwalk off Stockdale Highway. You can participate in the family walk, 2K, 5K, or 10K. Sponsorships, vendors, raffle items, and volunteers still needed. All proceeds stay local and help local families. There will be prizes, snacks, drinks, kids zone, and more. For tickets and info, contact Susan Graham at 661-328-9055. We'll see you there for Autism on the Run.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I apologize to anyone who can truly say that he has found a better way.
Music of the 70s. You know what I did last night when I got home?
I mean, I could say it, but you already said it kind of earlier.
What?
DHC.
Well, that's a given. That's not the first thing I do. Well, last night it was. Yeah, it was, actually. Well, you know why it was? Well, let me shut up. No, I went shipping. I went shipping in the front yard. I can ship in the front yard now. Remember, I used to not, if you want to keep updated on the progress of my golf game, my shipping was so bad I couldn't ship in my front yard. I was literally hitting my neighbors' cars. Literally. I was shanking chips. Like my front yard faces it faces the east, and the cars are all lined, and I'm chipping, and I would shank it and hit their cars. Uh-oh. So I'd have to go across the street. I live right across the street. I don't care if you know where I live, because I've got a Glock, my Glock 23, so I don't give a damn if you know where I live. I live across the street from a medical college, actually, High Sierra, whatever the hell it's called, and they've got this luscious big front lawn that you've all passed by going down 24th Street at 65 miles an hour. And I used to have to go over there and chip because it's a huge lawn, and the security guard ran me off. Like, what do you give a damn if I chip golf balls in this damn lawn? So now I had to go back. But now my chipping is so good, I can actually chip in my front yard. And the reason why am I telling you this about my golf game? Because it's 5:35 and it looks like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I absolutely love Pacific Daylight Time. And I kind of like the change. I like it getting dark during the holidays. I like driving down 21st Street in December and seeing all the homes. It'd be weird to drive home at 6 o'clock Christmas and it still be light. You know what I mean? I kind of like when it's dark, and because I think Westchester does Christmas better than Seven Oaks. I know everybody drives out to Seven Oaks. They're like traffic jams in that damn complex or that gated community. But I think Westchester does it better. I really do. These people, I don't know how they do it. I live in essentially, it's 2-bedroom, but essentially it's a 1-bedroom with a gargantuan closet. Is what it is. And my PG&E is like $250 a month. And all I do is, like, the only time I watch, what did I watch? I watched the end of Bay Hill, where I played. I forgot to tell Nick Ragone that I played at Bay Hill. God dang it. I watched the end of Bay Hill, and I watched some of the WGC, the World Baseball Classic, whatever it's called, on the 65, but I rarely, only on the weekends do I go into my living room to watch television. On a weeknight, I'm going to go home tonight, eat my chicken in front of my television, my 35-inch in my bedroom, and I just have one light in the television on. One light in the television. And my PG is $250 a month. Now, granted, I'm up watching television till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on my phone till like 2 in the morning watching. That's electricity. And I have a CPAP machine. But you see these people front yards during December? I mean, it is like, I can't imagine. That PG&E bill's got to be a G a month. Easy. Just saying. And it always reminds me of my dad, who was just a stand-up guy, but there was one thing ghetto about Ralph Bailey Sr. Only one thing. One thing. Do you remember what it was? What was ghetto about my dad?
Thermostat?
Would not take the Christmas lights down.
Oh, that's right.
Would not do it. And anytime, and like an idiot, I would mention it. And like 15, 16, I wasn't smart enough to know exactly what the response would be. So what an idiot kid I was. I was like, Dad, it's August. We're both about to have birthdays. Why don't you take the lights down? Boy, you know where the ladder is. December is right around the corner. If you want to take them down, get the ladder and take them down. When you want to go get the basketball, get stuck behind your basketball thing, you get the ladder out. Get the ladder out and take them down. I'm like, I ain't taking them down. And then one year, finally, at like 16, I did. I was like, you know, I can't do this. When my boys started giving me crap about it, I was like, fine. And it took me like an hour and 15 minutes to get those lights down because I had no idea what I was doing. And I damn near broke my thumb. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got?
You know what? Daily Dave's on the line for you.
Oh, Daily Dave, what's really going on? Dave?
Well,
what's happening?
Oh man, you're right. I love the daytime savings, and I appreciate the darkness at Christmas time.
Yeah.
But I was channeling you last night. I had never seen The Great Santini or Tender Mercies.
Really? Good for you. Aren't those really good pictures?
Oh my God! I cried at that Tender Mercies, and I cried at the Santini. That was good. I mean, when they get your emotions up, you know it's a dang good movie.
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
And who was the black man that played the boy on the wagon?
Oh, I forget his name. Yeah, I forget his name. Chris, look that up real quick. Great Santini. What was his name? It was a one-name character. It'll stick out when you get the cast list.
Like
Elmo or something like that.
Tuna or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, but that
he plays the boxer in Harlem Nights.
Okay.
And they use his stutter because he naturally stutters. That wasn't manufactured. He actually stutters. And somehow that guy was a working actor throughout the 80s and the 90s.
And who was the guy that the dogs got to? He went on to be
David Keith. David Keith.
He committed suicide in that movie with Richard Gere.
Right, David Keith. He an officer and a gentleman. He plays the opposite role. David Keith is his name. He's a really good character actor.
Yeah, but I had never seen The Great Santini from beginning to end. I sat there and watched it.
Great picture.
Oh, great movie, and what a great actor! You know, and of course I had to skip and watch. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, I watched it too. I didn't get any sleep last night. I was up till midnight, 1 o'clock watching it as well. I forgot how freaky that movie is because you're right. I hadn't watched that in its entirety in years. And the very end it makes no sense. That I didn't get it when I was a kid because it's based on the book Heart of Darkness, which I read in high school, actually.
The horror.
Yeah. Great picture.
It gets freaky at the end.
It really does.
The surfing part, that's a great movie, but I really like Tender Mercies, and I guess Duvall sang all his songs in that.
He does.
In that thing.
He does, and he's very talented.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I promise not to leave you forever away.
Yeah, and I would have never thought that the daughter would die. It's just like all these turns and twists that happen.
Yeah, well, don't kill the movie for everybody else, Dave. Come on now. All right, man. Let me get going. Wrapping this thing up.
Have a great golf game this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm playing with Swaim on Sunday. Man, maybe BC on Saturday.
Show them what you're made of.
I'm going to play well. I think I finally got my game in decent shape where I can consistently play in the 80s. We'll see. I'll let you know on Monday.
Hey, I want to hear all about it.
You definitely will. You know me. Thanks, Pop.
You know me. See it high.
Let it fly. All right, Dave. Take care. 842-5376, 842-KRN. What else you got?
You need to try Sidecar.
As a cocktail?
Yeah.
What is in a sidecar?
That I'm not sure.
Please stand by. Hey, Siri, what is in a sidecar cocktail?
The four components of Sidecar are cognac, Cointreau, lemon juice, and cocktail glass.
Wasn't Cointreau sweet?
I think I've ever had Cointreau.
I don't know. I've had Cointreau, I think, in margaritas. I'm looking for something with no sugar in it. I was going to do the zucchini. Zucchini drinks gin and which one has no sugar in it? Tonic or club soda? I think he does Hendrick's gin and club soda.
I want to say club soda
because I think tonic has sugar in it. But martinis, I might become a martini drinker because I had two, and Cassie's martini glasses aren't gargantuan; they're nice size. I had two, and I had a nice little buzz on my head. I didn't need to feel like I was drunk, but I did have a little buzz on my head because you're drinking straight gin. You're just drinking cold gin. And it's just amazing because of Turner Classic Movies, I've been watching old movies for the last couple of weeks. And it's like in every 30s and 40s film, it's all they drink, the martinis. And everybody's got a martini shaker. My buddy Chet, the guy that I tell you about, comes down from Sacramento, takes me to Dodger games every now and again, and we kind of screw around in LA. We lived in the same apartment complex in Inglewood. He's been drinking martinis since we were in our 20s. And this is when I first found this out. He is so into his martinis. Listen to what he does. He took one of Chandra's, his wife's perfume bottles that sprays. It has like that puffy thing that comes off the bottle, and you push it, and it sprays the cologne or perfume. He cleaned that out, and he said he had to clean it out for like a week because he couldn't get the stench of the perfume out of the bottle. And it took him a week to finally get the smell out. And he puts his vermouth in the spray bottle. And he's got these gargantuan mash-like martini glasses. And he sprays his vermouth on his glass. I'm like, really? Aren't we taking our alcohol consumption a little too seriously? But he's aficionado. It's like the late Wilbur Sewsbury, my dad's best friend, who some of you may have gone to. He was an ear, nose, and throat doctor out in Delano, as I always talk about. He performed surgery on JR's daughter, on her ears. And he had the single, and I never turned Scott on to him. I always said I was going to do that, take Scott over to his house. He lived over there and across from Applebee's, right around the corner from where my parents lived, and where Richard Bean lived. In fact, he lived 3 doors down. Richard Bean lived 3 doors down from where Sewsbury lived, in that cul-de-sac down there in Hagen Oaks. And he had the single greatest tequila collection you could ever see. Like, you name a tequila, and he'd point to it. And it was completely separate. He had 2 bars. That's how cool Sewsbury was. He had his bar, which was gin and vodka and brandy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the main bar in the kitchen. Then in the living room, he made a bar. He had them construct the bar. It was totally his tequilas. And he had literally every single tequila. We used to go over there and watch fights. We watched the Frank Sinatra Spectacular that I've tried to turn you guys onto. We had 5 guys, 5 grown men. It was me, Larry Fields, Rob Walters, Jeff Harbin, Sewsbury, and one of Sewsbury's pals. We had 6 men watching Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Johnny Carson from the 1960s. It's called the Frank Sinatra Spectacular. You can Google it right now on YouTube and watch it. And it's the single greatest Rat Pack concert ever, where Johnny Carson is the host. He comes out, he does 10 minutes. then Dean comes out and does his shtick. How do all these people get in my room? And just does his shtick that he's done for 30 years. He would go on to do for 30 years. And they're giving him crap on mics off stage. It's just, it's worth an hour and a half of your entertainment. It really is. It's called the Frank Sinatra Spectacular. We used to hang out there and sip tequila with him all the time. I got so drunk one night, I left my cowboy hat. I used to wear a cowboy hat back in the day. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of hats. And I left it on top of Roxanne's car one night. I was so drunk. Why I put it on her car? No idea. No idea. We used to have a lot of fun over there. A lot of fun. We're having fun, but we're wrapping it up. The Wednesday broadcast. Tomorrow's a Thursday. I'm thinking we're going to have Mr. Ragone back at 5, but certainly Mr. Turnipseed at 4, Mr. Petrie at 4:30. I've got to go to Luigi's in the morning, so I might guest up the show tomorrow. It is our sponsor's birthday, Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. Mike Arier turns 73 tomorrow. It's no, he's not. He's not. In fact, believe it or not, I'm a year older than Mike. Sad as that is, I certainly don't look it. Arier clearly looks older than I do. Are you kidding me? Oh, that'll get back to him. That's right. I said it. Get to see Greg Williamson tomorrow. Former police chief. He and Mike were college roommates. And to look at Greg Williamson and to think that of the two of them, it was Arier that made it to the NFL? Because I don't know if you've met our former police chief, but he's a walking refrigerator. And that's an insult to a refrigerator. Greg is like a building. He's like 6'5". He's about 275, and he's not overweight. He's just... Greg Williamson is bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, literally, which shocked me. Arnold's not a big guy. He's broad as hell. I know this because I once smoked stogies with him at our Capitol. He and Jeff Denham and Kevin McCarthy. And the best part about it was I was asked to join the governor in front of our competitors at the time. We'll go nameless because that competitor is no longer with us, and I don't speak ill of the dead. Quick timeout, wrapping this thing up. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. I'm telling you, check out Scott Jennings. You're going to love this guy. He is the Antichrist on CNN. He's the lone Republican many times, but he holds his own. He's a great radio host. Check him out. Top of the hour. In the meantime, we're wrapping this thing up. It's the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Next Armstrong and Getty Show. So now Iran is promising their biggest day of attacking other countries.
Plus, science has a fraud problem, and rich people can't differentiate themselves from other people. Everybody's got nice clothes and fancy watches these days, right? And so they're intentionally spending money on really stupid stuff to show how rich they are. These are odd times. It's the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I lost Reggie's head again.
Hey folks, Jeff Salters here to let you know that Sunday, April 5th, we will be closed for Easter Sunday as we celebrate.
I decapitate Reggie every single day. Cool ass Reggie Smith. I need something black to put behind that. I'm tired of using my LA book. I want my LA book to be shown. You ready? 3, 2. I think Epic Fury is absolutely defendable. What I don't understand is why the president won't address the nation and defend it. And concede, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some pain. literally and figuratively, among the soldiers and among the citizens. But we're finally dealing with the biggest threat in the Middle East. They've been haunting us for 46 years. It's about time somebody do something. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. It's a Thursday, so Mike Turnipseed, Executive Director of Current Tax, will be with us, along with our money man, Daniel Petrie, and another visit from our good friend Nick Ragone on the first day of the Players' Championship. All that plus me at 3. It's TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. I'll see you at 3.
Meets craftsmanship.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till GoodRx wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
You got Rubio? Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door, pick up same day. Yard tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
I put it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. But
Wrapping this thing up on a Wednesday, I really think the story of the day is always going to be Iran until we get out. Let's face it. But the story of the day, I think the most startling story of the day is what went down in Georgia's 14th congressional district, where a black Democrat, a retired brigadier general by the name of Sean Harris, won that seat. Now, thankfully, neither one of them, he or the Republican Clayton Fuller, did not get 50%, so there'll be a runoff. But for a Democrat in Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, Northwest Georgia, Rome and Roswell, rich white area of just about 20, 30 minutes northwest of Atlanta in the upper left-hand part of Georgia, if you're looking at it on a map. For a Democrat to win that seat, even with just 37% of the vote, and Fuller getting 34% of the vote, and given that it's kind of like our gubernatorial race, there were a number of Republicans that kind of siphoned off some of the votes, but that's a district that Donald Trump carried by like 14 points. That's a district that Marjorie Taylor Greene would win without spending any money. And now just the idea that they're going to have to spend money on that race is one thing, but the fact that it could be flipped and that this is the second congressional race that we've seen since the Donald Trump election that has been flipped. It happened down in Uvalde, Texas, where it was a district where Trump carried it by 17. The Democrat went in there and won it by 14. And I think this is a harbinger. This is an omen. This is telling the Republican Party something, that the midterms, if the Epic Fury operation is not 100% successful, because they're going to tear apart. Democrats and liberals in the national media are going to tear it apart no matter what happens. If it ended tonight at midnight with the Iranians waving a gigantic white flag, they'd find some reason to bash it and call it illegal and blah, 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 and this and that and that and this. But this has been a long-term problem. Here is Secretary of State, former Senator Marco Rubio.
Be recorded for history's purposes before I know what was going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships. continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women.
Hezbollah,
and they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing. And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit. And perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead. And we are making a terrible mistake. But here's the good news. Iran may have a supreme leader, but America does not. In this nation, we have a republic. And soon we will have new leaders, perhaps in this chamber, but also in the executive branch.
That was 11 years ago. That was Senator Marco Rubio, not Secretary of State. That was in response to the ridiculous deal that Barack Obama met that sent literally millions and tens of millions of dollars to the Iranians. And he was absolutely right. 11 years ago, he warned us. And now Papajenko, look what we got. That's why Epic Fury is defendable. And why the president won't make the case, I don't understand it. Why they're flip-flopping between calling it a war and an excursion. Really? That's the best this administration can come up with? Not a surgical military adventure, or there's better names than excursion. That sounds like Chris and I driving to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's defendable. And I think he could swing moderates and independents back into his column if he would make the case. But he's got to make the case. Want to thank our good friend Nick Ragone, might be with us again tomorrow. And of course, our good friend Howard Marcus tomorrow. Mike Turnipseed and Daniel Petrie. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Iran is warning that any domestic protesters will be treated harshly by security forces.
During a televised interview with Iranian state media, Ahmed Reza Radan says, "We do not see them as protesters or anything like that. We see them as enemies, and we will deal with them as we would with an enemy." When the war began, President Donald Trump emphatically called on Iranians to take over your government once the US-Israel bombardment ends. But observers think he appears to have drifted further away from the idea that the war presents an opportunity to end the theocratic rule in place since the country's 1979 Islamic Revolution. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Congress is getting closer to passing bipartisan legislation to encourage more affordable housing.